Sam, it's me, Optimus. Sam, I'm gay now. Optimus! Sam, don't worry, I'm still Optimus Prime. Except now I'm primed for cock. You have to warn the humans. I'm gay. The humans have to know I'm gay now, Sam. I'm Optimus.
Are the agendas in the machine and with Transformers?
Are the agendas in Transformers? That's what we're here to talk about today. Welcome to the Cult Pop Shit podcast. Today's episode is called Are There Genders in the Transformers Universe?
Now, as we all know, gender can be divided into
Precisely two.
Autobots and the Decepticons.
Yeah, I identify as a Decepticon, but I was actually born an Autobot. People don't let me live that one down.
Boy howdy. Okay, so this is film franchise Fortnights. My name is Richard Martin.
And my name's AJ.
And I am longtime fan of the show Rowan, Strang.
And today we're doing something a little bit different. If you're listening to this on the podcast, you can't see us, but if you're one of the two people watching us on our live stream, you can see us.
It's quite complicated because I want to both monitor the audio and monitor the live stream, but I've got a little...
Maybe pull that down so we can see...
Oh, look at that!
Okay, people. Right, let's aim for 4.
Alright, let's see if we can double this.
Just by putting out good vibes.
Okay, so film franchise Fortnights, of course, where we watch a normally randomly selected film franchise each week. Today, however, we are doing this to coincide with the release of Transformers The Last Night. We have our good friend Rowan Strang, who was flown up all the way from Christchurch just to do the podcast with us. And we should preface as well, for the first part of the podcast, Rowan is still going to be watching Transformers.
14 minutes of Transformers 4 to get
the reason for this is that we've had 2 guests now who didn't watch one of the films, and we won't stand for it.
We're sick of it.
No, this is film franchise Fortnights, not film partial franchise partial Fortnite.
Yeah.
Also, the film is just too good. I couldn't, once you start watching a Transformers movie, you can't finish
This is his third watch in the fortnight. Yeah. Also, we've got new microphones, so hopefully this sounds good. A new setup.
Oh, that was so loud. That was so loud.
Transformers is a really great franchise.
Now...
Is that me there?
No, I think it's live. It's like a second off. Anyway.
Transformers is pretty great.
If this does sound bad, which I don't think it does, because we tested it 5 times.
Yeah, so if this sounds bad, boy howdy, are we...
If this sounds bad, the 2 will turn into a 1, and if it sounds good, the 2 will turn into a 3.
One also thing that we're going to note here is that obviously with the you might have said this already, I was distracted trying to make sure everything was going all good. We obviously haven't seen The Last Night yet.
Right, yes.
So this podcast, for this whole live stream, if you're watching, and for, I don't know, I'll put in a timestamp in the description of when we start talking about The Last Night. I guess for spoilers...
Yeah,
we're not going to.
It will have been out for a week and a half by the time you guys listen to it, or just over a week.
Yeah.
But we recorded this earlier to fit our friend Rowan's schedule. But yeah, this is going to run similar to our X-Men podcast where we timed it and watched Logan afterwards and recorded our thoughts and feelings. And we probably won't be continue the franchise until after we've seen The Last Night.
One more admin thing. Mm-hmm. It's my birthday in 25 minutes.
It is. So
completely beside the point, but worth noting.
So
I don't know.
You guys are going to hear AJ transform into a big boy.
How old are you turning, AJ?
I'm turning 24.
24.
Do you guys remember being 24?
Yeah, man.
Not specifically.
No,
but I was definitely 24 once.
So when you think, do you find it easier to remember and distinguish how old you were at different times of your life, or do you find it easier to remember and distinguish the different Transformers movies from each other?
Probably the Transformers movies. Yeah.
Okay. What are the Transformers movies? You've got Transformers, came out in 2007, stars Shia LaBeouf, Megan Fox, Josh Duhamel, and John Turturro.
Tyrese Gibson, right?
And Tyrese Gibson. And Transformers Revenge of the Fallen came out in 2009. Pretty much the same cast. Transformers Dark of the Moon, 2011, which adds John Malkovich, Ken Jeong, and Patrick Dempsey and Frances McDormand, loses Megan Fox, and adds Rosie Huntington Whiteley. What it loses in Megan Fox, it makes up for in Rosie Huntington Whiteley.
And boy, does it make up with it.
Make up with it.
I'm sorry, Rosie.
Transformers Age of Extinction came out in 2014, starring... so that's pretty much no one from the... none of the human characters from the first three.
That's right.
Yeah. And that stars Mark Wahlberg, Stanley Tucci, Kelsey Grammer, and I guess you could say TJ Miller? It's a stretch.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so... basically, what the first Transformers had, and they didn't have a lot, in terms of like... Oh, shit. What I was getting at is like basically Transformers 4 takes out all the charismatic characters, replaces them with a bunch of boring characters and one charismatic character, and then they kill them off after 20 minutes.
Yeah, and also of course tomorrow or last week saw the release of Transformers: The Last Night, which adds back Josh Duhamel, Tyrese Gibson, and John Turturro, and adds Anthony Hopkins.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Fantastic! I did not know that.
And
so like half the gang is back together.
Yeah, so like all the army guys are back.
And John Turturro though.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. I didn't know that.
So
He's back. I'm glad John Turturro's back. My neighbour John Turturro.
Yeah. And so interestingly as well, as I'm sure a lot of you already know, all of these films are directed by Michael Bay, which is rare for a franchise. And say what you will about the man, I got to give him a bit of credit for that. He's second only to, if you count Peter Jackson doing 6 Middle-earth films.
Right.
He's like, and then so then there's Michael Bay's done 5, and then there's a couple of directors that have done 4 of a certain movie.
Really? So he actually holds like almost a record for
Yeah.
franchise entries.
Yeah. Huh. And so this is like a
5 films.
continuous unbroken chronology as well. So it's not like the... Well, yeah, I mean...
Unbroken.
Perfect.
Well, whereas Peter Jackson, said he wasn't going to do it and then did reboots. I mean, Michael Bay says he's not going to do another Transformer more times than, bloody...
more times than Optimus Prime gets killed off.
Or Megatron.
So, I guess... okay, and also, so voice actors. So you've got Peter Cullen plays Optimus Prime in all the films. He's the voice actor.
And that's notable because he
voiced him in the animated. He's Optimus Prime.
Right, yeah.
And Hugo Weaving plays Megatron. Leonard Nimoy played Sentinel Prime in Dark of the Moon. John Goodman plays a character called Hound in the last 2. Ken Watanabe plays one called Drift, who's like a samurai. And some Jason Statham wannabe plays a Jason Statham-like trenchcoat wearing Transformer. And the last one.
Right.
I'm just gonna I'm gonna forget about the live stream. I mean, we're still gonna do it.
Yeah.
But it might not be working. And
oh, really? Someone messaged you?
I know that no one's messaged me. If the live stream isn't working,
Podcast of the century.
please message us. But I've just noticed that the comments aren't updating.
Yeah, and like Dave.
Or is that because no one's got...
No, because I just checked on my phone.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so you mean the... Okay. Anyway.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, no, it's just because it's
David Cross. Hey, David.
You guys spend more times on your phone than watching the actual film.
No, but we
watch the
are
films.
watching the actual films. Like
We watch the actual
every
films
time you
on
see
our
us
phone.
wrapping up.
Every
quite
time you
nicely
see
right
us,
now.
look at our phone during a film.
Optimus is blasting
We're watching
off.
the film on the phone.
10-bit dithering is happening right now.
Okay, yeah, so Rowan's actually just about to finish the film.
That's a good shot.
Yeah, like...
Optimus
Okay.
Prime is blasting off.
And
So I guess that will be resolved. Oh, there we go. Directed by Michael Bay. Okay, now I can actually be in the conversation.
Now you can
with
be a connoisseur of Transformers movies.
guys.
Welcome to the Cop Pops podcast.
Okay, so should we just crack into ranking them? Or no, actually, we should talk about what they're about a little bit, shouldn't we?
What are the Transformers?
Just one sentence for each one, because the plot of them is so dense.
I'll go.
I'm more interested in like a even broader umbrella description of like
How
That's
do you
true.
describe Transformers
Okay, so-
without talking about the cartoon or the toys? The
Okay,
film series.
I'll do an umbrella, and then we'll go film by film.
Yeah, okay.
Umbrella, what is Transformers is about? It's about a race of robotic aliens who land on Earth, and they're real big, and they're real robotic, and some are good, and some are evil, and it chronicles the journeys that human characters have with these giant robots. They are action films, lots of explosions, lots of sexualized women. Yeah, that's an umbrella term if you have not seen the Transformers franchise.
The only thing I would add to that to make it pretty much the perfect summary of the films is like Americana. These are very much like America movies, yeah. But interestingly, you never once in that umbrella description talked about how they are robots, humanoid robots that transform into mankind vehicles. And I find that to be really interesting.
They
We'll definitely
turn into cars or...
That's like you would have thought, you know.
Well,
you
you said
described
don't
the film franchise perfectly, but the like legacy of Transformers didn't actually come into what you just described.
Of course, and I think that could be a number of reasons. One is I'm kind of tired. One is these movies are very hard to follow, and I'm struggling to remember each one.
We'll cut to the chase. I think after the first film, the fact that they transform into cars is completely irrelevant.
Okay, that's
They are just humanoid robots.
Yeah.
Giant humanoid robots.
There's Dinobots in the fourth one.
Whoa, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Okay, I'm gonna just, because the plot of these films is so strange, and we'll talk about them more later on, I'm gonna start a challenge. Let's all pick a film, and I'll give us each 15 seconds to summarize the plot.
Okay.
Okay? AJ, since it's your birthday boy,
Yep.
what one do you want?
I'm gonna go the first one.
First one? Second
that's
one?
the easiest one.
Who wants second one?
Yeah, I'll go second one.
Okay, you do the first two, 3 or 4.
Oh,
Do you want to do
yeah,
the
there's
3 or 4?
I definitely couldn't do 4, so I have to do 3.
Okay, and I'll do 4.
Okay. So Transformers.
Okay, wait, hold up.
There's a timer. Right.
Okay, wait, no, actually.
Why should we be timed when Michael Bay doesn't seem to time the
Okay, AJ, you have 15 seconds starting now.
Okay, so Sam Witwicky, played by Shia LaBeouf, gets a new car. He's 17, and his car is a transformer. And it turns out that there's a cube that can turn anything mechanical or robotic into a monster or a fighting robot. And the bad guys want it, and the good guys want to stop the bad
Okay,
guys
stop,
from having it.
time. 2.
Okay, number 2 is there's an ancient transformer who's referred to as the Fallen, and he wants his revenge. That's basically all you need to know. The what?
The Matrix of Leadership.
The Matrix of Leadership. I have no recollection.
Literally the MacGuffin that times the entire film.
And 3, Ron.
Turns out the actual reason we went to the moon is because there was a crashed Transformer arc that contained the pillars, and then I think his name is Patrick Dempsey, is working with the Autobots, and NASA's really involved. And the pillars will bring Cybertron to Earth, and they will use the human race for some reason to build a slave army and do some stuff.
Time. So, AJ, you put your hand up.
Yeah, this is kind of a tried joke, but I like the fact that you referred to him as Patrick Dempsey and not his character's name, because you can just imagine, for some reason, movie star, TV star, Grey's Anatomy star Patrick Dempsey is for some reason helping the evil Transformers.
Okay, and Transformers 4 is... so the Battle of Chicago that happened at the end of Transformers 3 is like 15 9/11s, and so it's set years later, only 4 years later, but somehow Chicago is completely rebuilt. And Transformers are like, no one talks about them. Then Mark Wahlberg finds one, and then he gets swept up in a big global scheme to, destroy everything, and there's Dinobots.
An adventure.
An adventure.
And there's Dinobots, yeah. Right.
There was an earthquake in our home city of Christchurch. How many years ago now?
6 years ago.
Still not remotely fixed.
Yeah.
That's
like, okay, 9/11 happened in 2001, and they just finished building the One World Trade Center.
Yet in 4 years, Chicago, which isn't even America's favourite city...
No one's rushing to save Chicago.
But they have Transformers. So
Yeah,
the
that is
Transformers
true.
could have built the building.
But no, they definitely didn't, though. What are you talking about?
No one likes the Transformers, guys.
Just quickly, and I'm not going to edit this out because I want this to feel real. If everyone wants to, except for Rowan probably, move their
microphone, just so that it's in the direction of where they're looking
Hello.
at each other.
Oh, yes.
You know,
Okay.
just so we're speaking directly into it. Thank you.
G'day.
Carry on.
Okay. So yeah, that's kind of your films. So
And
now,
it's worth, I think, sorry to step on
Yeah,
your
no,
toes.
go.
There's
Step
3
away.
films, and then there's basically like a complete re-beginning,
Yeah.
scrapping it, except for the Transformers, which we're meant to believe are characters in this franchise, and then it starts again with number 4.
yeah, that's 100%.
As if it were a infected appendage, it severs ties with the first 3 films almost completely.
But now, with the last night, we're kind of getting something potentially. We don't know too much about it.
Very exciting.
David Corios wants to know, why can't the Transformers help the humans rebuild Chicago? That's because the Transformers are considered like something bad that happened and they want nothing to do with them.
Yeah, so
They want to kill, the
it's
humans
kind of
want to kill
shown
them.
that most humans didn't realize that some were helping the humans. That it was just like, it's one of those like, even though there are good ones here, none of this would have happened if the good ones weren't here.
Yeah.
And by the time
The old
we
Batman
get to
paradox.
by the time we get to number 4,
The All-Star
when
was on Earth.
That's true.
yeah, when Optimus Prime is found, he's been deactivated for 4 years, and it seems like there haven't been any Transformers around since the Battle of Chicago.
Me and AJ discussed this while we were watching. 4 years is a piece of information you've received. Like, you know that? Right, 4 years.
Because that kind of ruins it more.
It should be like 30 years.
It should be, it should be a long, because,
And that's why don't mention Sam Witwicky because he's dead.
yeah.
He's dead.
Well, no, like that's what it should be. It should be.
Well,
Yeah,
we were
years
also
later.
wondering where he's at. Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't it be great if randomly, add 10 minutes to the film and just keep cutting back to Sam?
Yeah, I would love to see a Shia LaBeouf cameo on The Dark Knight, but sadly, I don't think it's going to happen.
The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight.
Bro,
I'm going to do that.
The last Jedi. We'll take
Dark Jedi.
a short break for your quick Cold Popture weather report. If you can hear a whistling, that is because it is quite windy here in Auckland, New Zealand.
Auckland.
What is going on?
Okay.
I just heard a whistle from the wind, and I wanted to clarify that no one's sitting behind us going.
Okay, David Corias wants to ask, why was Ken Jeong in the third film? I don't know, they just needed an extra actor.
I want to talk about that. That's a launching pad. So who was it we were talking to the other day? It might have been David, it might have been Jeremy.
Yeah.
One of them was like, mentioned that TJ Miller dies in the 4th one, and when I was like, spoilers, they were like, I think his role's pretty similar to Ken Jeong's in the 3rd film. No, it's not.
Not at all.
Ken Jeong dies in the 3rd film, but he's introduced in the 3rd film, probably has 10 minutes of screen time.
Yeah.
He's a joke character, meant to be a red shirt. TJ Miller, you're supposed to feel real sad when he dies, and he shouldn't die, because he's the only enjoyable part of that movie up until that point.
Yeah.
He is only in the film for comedy up until the moment he dies.
Yeah. I can tell you why was Patrick Dempsey in the 3rd film. Because he bumped into Michael Bay at some
A mixer or something.
mixer, and he was like, you know what? I've never done a big budget film, and Michael Bay was like, cool.
I'll make sure you never do one again.
6 a.m. tomorrow. Show up to set.
No way.
Yeah.
What
Wait,
the-
that implies they had someone, but they didn't
that
cast
poor
them, or
no
what?
name who had just been cast, and he's like, I know it's Transformers 3, but at least it's a role, and he's rich and he's complex and he's a villain, but he's like, he's layered. And they were like, we got Patrick Dempsey to play your character instead.
But
Sorry.
Yeah. Either
Sorry.
that or like
Jerry.
Michael Bay was just stalling. So okay, what? Let's all quickly rank the films.
Our own personal opinion.
Yeah, your own personal opinion.
Okay.
Shall I start?
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm gonna reveal something about my character here.
No.
I'm not really into any of them.
What? Okay.
Me and Richard had an off-pod argument that I was like, no, we need to save this kind of for the podcast. Because if I was to arbitrarily rate them on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say the first one is a 6, 7.
Yep.
Probably a 6 because I don't think it has the substance of most movies, and most movies are 7s. So I'd say it's a 6 out of 10. I would say Revenge of the Fallen is a 4.5 out of 10. I would say Dark of the Moon is a 5 out of 10. I would say, what's the other one? Age of Extinction is a 3.5 out of 10. Like, none of them, I understand I understand, especially the fourth one is notably worse than the other three.
Yeah, right.
That one, it's obvious, but between the first three, like we were watching, so we went into, sorry, just to run ahead, we went into Revenge of the Fallen, which is the second film. Richard was like, "This is the worst movie I have ever seen." I'd never seen it.
I said it was one of my bottom 3 films.
Okay, sure. I'd never seen the second one. I'd seen the first one once or twice. I watched that movie and I kind of got what it was going for. I was like, "Oh, it's all right." Like it wasn't especially bad. It was. It has some racist characters and it has some silly moments and it's very long. But overall, I kind of liked how it continued. Both the second and third film, I liked how they continued the arcs of Sam Witwicky and.
Did you?
Well, I did not like them. There was nothing wrong with them.
There's nothing wrong with them.
With specifically Sam Witwicky's emotional arc, there's nothing wrong with it.
Sam Witwicky's emotional arc being he can't say "I love you" to his girlfriend.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, his girlfriend who's way out of his league. And loves him dearly.
And they seem to have been together for a slightly extended period at this point. And really, let's be honest, like saying "I love you" doesn't really mean that.
I feel like
Come on.
No, what I liked it. Sorry, I'm remembering now. I'm like. The memories are slowly redigitizing in my mind right now. I liked that they worked him into the story by making it that he absorbed the cube's powers. Because why would Sam be in it otherwise? Why would this random character who just happened to run into it in the first film be involved in the second one at all? And it's because when he destroyed the cube by putting it in Megatron's chest, he actually absorbed its power unknowingly, and so now robotics freak out around him, and he's the MacGuffin of the film, sort of. And I liked in the third one that Sam's emotional story in that is, I'm useless. I've saved the world twice, and now I've got nothing to do. Now I have to work a desk job.
Yeah, now I can't even get a job.
Yeah, that's such a wise decision to take his character. Instead of trying to like shoehorn him back in, they acknowledge it. They acknowledge that the very purpose of his character was he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, or the right place at the right time, depending on how you look at it. And I like that, that his internal struggle is, I'm actually a nobody.
Yeah. Okay. So you go.
So what's your ranking?
So you go 1, 3, 2, 4.
Yes.
1, 3, 2, 4. Okay, yeah, sure.
Which I feel like you guys probably do too.
I mean,
it's just I'm more
disagree with
ranking.
Yeah. I mean, I could juggle 2 and 4, but only because I actually had like real expectations for number 2, and then number 4 I kind of didn't care. I happened to go to it, and it was like, oh, this is the worst film I've ever seen. Like 4 is objectively worse than 2, but I actually thought 2 was going to be good. So in a lot of ways, I think 2 is a shittier film.
And maybe because I didn't like the first one that much. Like it wasn't.
So yeah, a lot of my hatred for the second one comes from my experience watching it. So until this, like yesterday, whenever we watched them, I'd only seen it.
It was Monday. It's like 4 days ago.
Okay, whatever. Time doesn't work properly when you're watching these films. So I saw the first one. I think I saw like a premiere. I saw it the day before it came out. So they won some tickets, and
you were into it.
And I was like, "This is the best film I've ever seen. That's so good." And I think like I was at the perfect age to see it. Yeah. I think we probably all were.
We're the same age. Okay, we've done this before.
No, I'm 24.
Richard's the same age as me. Just he's like 4 months older than me.
So
I'm the baby.
Yeah, I would like. And then I remember being so hyped for Transformers 2 that I went to the midnight premiere. Yeah. Even though I had school the next day, I went to midnight premiere.
Where did you see the midnight premiere?
Sort of like what we're doing
like
now.
The Palms, I think, in Christchurch.
Except now we have work the next day and we're choosing to do this.
So,
I guess you chose to see Transformers.
That's kind of one of the first films I remember seeing and thinking, like, I know why this is bad, you know? Yeah. Like, Ang Lee's Hulk was probably the first film I saw and was like, this is real bad. But I was like, I just didn't like it. You can't really put your finger on why. Whereas, like, I remember coming out of Revenge of the Fallen, and I was like, and all my friends were like, fuck, that was dope, eh? Like, those cars were so funny.
Oh, why'd you have to do an accent? We were fine. You're no better than Transformers Revenge of the Fallen.
I actually know the friend I went with, and he sounds like that, okay? I'm not going to say his name.
Turns out the racist one was me.
But so anyway, he was like, oh, bro, that was so mean. And I was like, that actually sucked. And I can give you a list of reasons why, and I'm not going to give them now. because they're all pretty well documented in the past 10 years.
I could give you a list of why the first one sucks as well, though.
Yeah, I can give you a list of why.
No one likes you, AJ.
Okay, let's bring that to the floor.
One, you smell bad and you know it and you don't do anything about it.
So,
Just got real.
I've got
11:57.
Oh, I'm only 23 for 3 more minutes.
that sounds like a song.
Roll out.
AJ, shut up.
But it's the same kind of thing that, like, because I like to do this, like, arbitrary kind of scale thing where, so if we call the best one a 10, and then each one's a fraction of that.
Yeah.
So, like, I'd say Transformers is a 10 out of 10, and when I saw Transformers 2, I was going and thinking Transformers was a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
And so, to me, it was a 0. Maybe one redeeming scene, which I couldn't even name to you now. And then when I watched the third one, yesterday or whenever we watched it, it was like I'd heard it gets real bad, and then
So you stopped watching them after number 2?
Yeah, I did, because it was so bad. And then the last 45 minutes of the third one is fucking dope. Mm-hmm. And so that enough puts it at like a 6 or a 7 for me.
The best scene in the whole franchise is in Transformers 3.
Oh, I want to talk about yeah.
Shall we put a pin in it? Or talk
because I
did want to mention something else what you were talking about before.
Are we going to at any point like just go through like film by film and discuss like what?
Well, yeah, I wanted to just like put it on our
Ebbs and
talking
flows.
points of just like these movies are all like kind of guy porn. They're all like I don't know.
Male porn. They're all male porn.
Yeah. So with those movies, we're like, I love them, I hate them. There's some moments where you're like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And what's your most fuck yeah kind of moment?
So that would be Sam is in a car chase. He's driving in Bumblebee, who's a car. Just to clarify. And then something happens and Bumblebee has to turn into a transformer, and he does it, and Sam flies out of the car, and in slow motion you see Bumblebee run up behind him, jump at Sam, who's flying through midair on like hot pavement, and he encloses around Sam and becomes a car again.
And it's the
And
coolest
Shia
moment of the
LaBeouf is
franchise.
just screaming his head off.
Yeah.
I think
And it's fucking awesome. And then, just to put a pin in what we were talking about before, and then Transformers 4 is, I'd probably go like a 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So I would still go 1, 3, 4, 2.
Is that 'cause
See-
there's 0 expectations on number?
Yeah,
4?
because there's 0 expectations in number 4, and then I still found things I enjoyed in number 4. Like more of a so bad it's good kind of thing. Like, guys, I think this is a Transformer.
Transformer. Okay, my problem with you going from 10 Transformers 1 to 0 Transformers 2 is that by design of the scale, you've made it very mathematical and scientific. And if that's how you want to do it, then in my mind, a film gains a point for a certain thing. It's not opinion based. It's like elements based. What's in the film, and there are redeeming qualities of Transformers 2, and there are like you know what I mean. Like it's not like the acting's particularly bad. The acting's fine in Transformers 2. That's a point. You know what I mean? Like to call it a 0. I guess maybe calling it a 0 compared to the first film is different, but calling it a 0 in terms of every movie to me is like, well, no, because freaking I don't know what's a 0 out of 10. I once watched a movie called Die You Zombie Bastards, and that's a 0 out of 10. I'm pretty sure it's a porn, but I didn't realise till I was well into it.
Yeah, so I get where you're coming from, but it's like it's one of those like I've made my bed for the past like 8 years, and I'm gonna lie in it.
It's like how I
Transformers
refuse to accept or like the ending to The Mist, despite knowing how clever it is.
Yeah. Like I've gone on the record saying that it's one of my 3 least favorite films, and I'm gonna stand by that because I didn't enjoy it more when I watched it now.
Yeah,
I've seen worse movies since then, probably, but I don't think it's better than when I initially
Transformers hurt you. Transformers 2 hurt you.
Yeah.
Whereas, I don't know, Transformers 4 was just a bad movie.
watched it. Yeah. Transformers 4 was funny because I started work late today, and I had, because of all our different schedules, I had to watch Transformers 4 by myself in the morning, and it got to like 'cause I was working like an evening shift. I got to like 6 o'clock and I felt like I'd been at work since 9 because watching Transformers 4 felt like work for me.
Well, Rowan brought with him an IMAX quality version of the fourth film, which stopped working halfway through, and then we went, I'm not kidding, to like what, a 480p rip of it
It was
instead.
a full screen crop of the widescreen film.
And so on top of that, we went from watching in like the best quality you can to one of the worst qualities you can, and then Rowan left after about 45 minutes of that, and I'm sitting at home knowing I have to stay up late tonight, knowing that I've got to work out how to do a live stream podcast, and all I can think of is like I'm sitting here basically basically wasting time watching Transformers Age of Extinction.
Yeah, it's not even the first one.
It's not even the last one.
And alright, so Ron, your ranking.
My ranking is I think we're all on the same page with rankings. But the difference is I think Transformers 1 is a really good film.
Yeah.
I think
it's a 10.
loved that film when I was a young whippersnapper. I would 5 out of 5, 100%. I'd almost give it a 5 out of 5 now just for the nostalgia value. I think it like as a single film, if it was the only Transformers film, it would just be the best possible Transformers film, and it would be a 5 out of 5 for taking Transformers, which was the Hasbro toy line, and making a film out of it. Like, total success.
No, you go.
And then, so number 2 came out in my first year at broadcasting school, and I convinced the entire class to go to a midnight screening of Transformers number 2. And pretty much none of us liked it. And I felt pretty embarrassed for dragging everyone, because I was hyping that film. Like, I have a tendency to really hype films that I want to see. And I thought Transformers 2 was going to be golden, and it was not. It was terrible. And it's that thing of like, sometimes you hype a film and you see it and you're like, but you're still kind of jazzed on the hype.
Yeah.
But I walked out of that just knowing it was garbage.
Yeah.
And then 3 was, I'd sort of lost interest in the franchise at that point, but I saw 3, and the last 35 minutes was cool stuff, man. There was some tight visuals in there. As we're going to talk about, the jumping sequence.
Yeah, there's
awesome.
The third film was filmed in a different way. It's like they actually took the complaints of number 2. Because number 2, it's dark, you can't tell what's going on. But 3 has these massive wide shots where you can tell everything that's going on.
Well, so I watched a 2-hour documentary on the making of number 3, and they opened the documentary by talking at length about how people didn't like the number 2, and that they had heard those complaints, and Shia LaBeouf had a bit where he was talking about how we had to go through that to make number 3 the best version that it could be. I think number 3, if number 1 didn't exist, number 3 would be a great Transformers film, but it's samey.
If Transformers as a franchise is like a girlfriend, the first one was like the most, the happiest you've ever been. Then she cheats on you, and that's Transformers 2. And then years later, Transformers 3 is you see that she's doing all right now. And that's cool.
And then you have like amazing makeup sex.
No!
As well. No, that's like the last 45 minutes.
I was just saying, like, it's not as good as what it
but then
it doesn't mean anything to me.
Sweet, like when like she's older now, she's coming to her own sexually, and how
old was she before?
Well, no, okay. Women, reach their sexual peak around 30, so I've been told.
You get a blowy from an actual from a Transformer. Number 4.
Sharp.
Yeah.
Anyway, number 3 is like the ending. The stuff we love about number 3 is the same stuff that's in number 1, but just turned up. Like, the budget is just raised, and they're able to just do more with it. Because the first one kind of finishes in a very generic Hollywood backlot type city. Like, there's nothing about the ending of the first one that feels particularly high budget, and then the third one is like, that is clearly Chicago, and those are buildings we know, and they're like, there are all sorts of street scenes, and it's quite impressive really what they managed to pull off.
Yeah. Well, okay, we'll quickly, we've got a couple of questions I can see on the live screen. I'll go through the Rotten Tomatoes scores for the film.
Yeah, of course.
So, Transformers 1, critics score 57, audience score 85. So
that's actually low though, right? Like,
yeah,
critics scores what?
57. So wrong.
That's me. Yeah, that's I didn't know that. That's really fascinating.
And at the time it came out, I remember people saying like they would like sort of it was a hot opinion, a hot take to be like, no, Transformers is actually peak Michael Bay. Like it's a good film, but obviously the critical reception was pretty middle.
Yeah, and I think this will be partly from people going back and reviewing it as well, because like. You look at the franchise as a whole, and you're like, it's bad. But if like you said, if the first one existed in a vacuum, it's a good movie. It could be a good movie.
It is a good movie.
Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, 19% critic score, 57% audience score.
That's like an equal drop from both critic and.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Dark of the Moon, 35% critic score. 55% audience score. So that's actually the least favourite of audiences, which is strange because I would have thought they would have liked the
least favourite.
The action. But it's a slight increase in the critic score. Age of Extinction, 18% critic score, so that's the lowest.
But not by much.
Not by much. And 51% audience score. So that's the lowest audience score, but not by much. Do we want to know the last night's audience and critic score?
I've taken a peek and I can't look back. Do you want to know it?
Sorry, say it. No, first, can you go through the basic ranking of them, just because?
Okay, critics go and from bottom to top go 4 and 2, but they're only 1% away, and then 3 and then 5.
And 3 and 5 are quite.
Yeah.
Oh wait, 3 and 5. Wait, 3 and 1.
3 and 1. Sorry,
3 and 1.
I was going to say, oh great, we're about to see the best one in the series.
5.
I agree with the critics.
Yeah. So 5, it's the second highest rated audience film. So at 70%. However, it's the lowest critic score
Really?
at 17%.
But also, like, you can't trust the audience score at this point.
Exactly, and you can't really trust the critic score either.
You can't trust Rotten
basically,
Tomatoes
early reviews saying...
I didn't realise we had Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Fuck that website. But yeah, okay.
Early reviews, it's things like, hot mess, what the hell do you expect? One of the worst films ever made. So...
I can't wait.
It's shorter than the last ones.
I'm not one of those people who enjoys bad movies.
Yeah.
So I'm not excited.
Also, just fun fact, this is the 11th highest grossing franchise, grossed a total of $3.7 billion. It's only $200 million behind Spider-Man, so it'll presumably overtake it when The Last Night comes out, but when Homecoming comes out, it could...
They take into account all of the entries.
Yeah, so there's 5 Spider-Man films officially now. Highest grossing is the third one, $1.123 billion, which was the second highest grossing film of 2011. Second to Deathly Hallows Part 2. And Age of Extinction also grossed $1.1 billion and was the highest of 2014.
The highest grossing film of 2014.
Yeah. And interestingly, just before we get to the questions...
I realise I just did a silent nod, but we're on video. I can't do my little signals.
We
got
three
live viewers.
We're on 5 before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was amazing.
Goodbye to the 2 and hello to the 1.
So, we've got a couple of questions, but I just want to say, just another fun fact. Transformers 4 is the only film in the franchise to not be nominated for an Academy Award. So it truly is the worst film. Alright, so we've got a couple of questions here. What do we got?
David Corios exclusively is asking these questions.
Yeah.
He wants to know...
Good work, David.
He wants to know, ranking the Autobots, how does the hierarchy work if Optimus Prime is at the top? Where does Bumblebee, Hound... And the rest of the Autobots fit in.
Okay, so...
I think it's as simple as that. Optimus Prime's at the top.
Optimus Prime's at the top.
If the plot dictates that another character needs to randomly be introduced to be like his mentor or his boss or whatever...
Yeah, I think Bumblebee's kind of like a son to him. Because he talks about... Mark Wahlberg's talking about his daughter, and then Optimus Prime goes... I went through the same thing with Bumblebee.
But that's just a joke,
and I'm gay.
But what is Peter? What is his name? Is he gay?
No, well,
Where's
maybe
this
I
gay
don't know.
thing coming from?
It's a real long story, but anyway, like we were just
It's not even worth explaining.
we were just real tired watching the third film, and we started going. It's when he's being shipped off to space, and he's talking to Sam, and it's like, Sam, I'm gay.
I like the idea of learning about Optimus Prime because he's such a closed-off character.
Yeah. So you got like. So I imagine that, and then Hound's kind of like their.
Do you just clap into the microphone?
I just was like, what the fuck?
You're a fucking maniac.
You've got Ratchet, who's the like nurse, and then you've got Jazz, who's like the black one.
Jazz. Cracking.
And yeah, so you've got kind of all these ones, but they all have their own.
Wants to meet with the female.
Oh my god, I forgot about that bit.
That's the best bit ever. First one's just a goal.
So yeah, they've all got their kind of place, but it's all very much Optimus Prime's at the top. Next question from Dave:
Who was more of a threat, Sentinel or Galvatron?
What do you guys think?
Sentinel, the threat from within, right?
Sentinel's a Prime as well, and it's established.
Just to clarify, who are Sentinel and Galvatron?
So Sentinel is Sentinel is one of the primes. So there's like all Optimus is a prime, and so he's it's established in
the Archangels of Transformers.
Yeah, and it's established in Transformers 2 that they're like almighty, and then one gets resurrected in Transformers 3.
Is there a class
Sentinel.
system back on?
There must be. Oh, I think they're like the gods almost. Or like they're like the guardians.
The ruling class, maybe.
Yeah. And so it's established that they're more powerful, and he almost destroys the Earth.
I would
as well.
say
He's voiced by
Sentinel.
Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah, Leonard Nimoy plays him. I feel like Sentinel is probably the best part of 3.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
I quite liked it.
Galvatron never almost destroys the world, so I guess
Galvatron's just a repurposed Megatron, isn't he?
yeah. Galvatron's. Oh, the interesting thing about Galvatron is so he's basically Megatron, but he can. I was gonna say he can transform, but he's almost like fluid in his design.
Can I change course here? We'll intermittently answer
Dave's
questions. I want to shit on the first one, just for a second, just because everyone's talking about how good it is. I want to talk about what I think is bad about it, and what I think was a missed opportunity. So. I'm totally like a pretentious film student, right? I get that I'm not the target demographic for Transformers, despite being a hot-blooded male.
I think we're all exactly the target demographic.
You're blooded.
I'm the target audience in a lineup, but not in like my own personal tastes.
Right.
Transformers 1 is about nothing. Okay? There is no substance to that film. There is no, and even in the simplest films, Beethoven is about learning to, love your family even though they're different and seeing, the good in everyone. What's another example of a terrible film that at least has a...
Ace Ventura 3.
What's that one about?
Oh, that's the dumb.
Okay, fine. Transformers is as bad as Ace Ventura 3. No, okay, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? There's plot and there's story. So, I've used this example before. Aladdin is a film about learning to love yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, learning to see that you're a prince.
Yeah.
Now, I know that you might be like, oh, not every film needs that. No, they don't, but most actually do, whether you realise it or not. And I think the closer they get to being, low budget, the more prominent these themes probably are, because it's all they've got. But even Transformers 2, Transformers 3, especially Transformers 3 is about where do I fit in. Transformers 4 is about, sometimes, they say in the movie, sometimes great things come from mistakes. They say that in the movie, and it's very themey.
There's got to be a theme in Transformers 1.
Yeah,
so
I'm sitting here trying to think of
I know. Yeah. Now, here's what I'm thinking, right? What it should have been, and what it isn't, and what it absolutely isn't, is... The theme of Transformers 1 should have been, there is more than meets the eye. Right?
Oh, if you hadn't stumbled there,
that might have actually been it. That might actually be the theme.
Transformers, more than meets the eye. And there's a part in Transformers 1 where Megan Fox's character, whose name is Michaela, says to Sam...
I thought you were throwing at me.
Says to Sam, you think I'm shallow? And he goes, no, I don't think you're shallow. I think there's... more than meets the eye to you, and it's brushed over and it's great. It's probably my favourite moment of the first one because it's I get it. But imagine if the movie was about that, on a completely relational level. So people think something of Sam and he proves them wrong because there's more to Sam than meets the eye.
I think the film is about that.
I don't think it is. I think the film is about a guy who wants a girlfriend, gets a car, and saves the world.
Yeah, okay, but you're right. But it's also in the sense that he's. It's very, Sam's like a nobody at the start of it, and then he saves the world because there's more than meets the eye.
But these things don't come into They don't talk about them. They're not like, oh, there's a nobody and now I'm... Like,
So
no one
you think the
treats it...
fact that they showed rather than told you is...
I think they don't show it, though. I think you can just glean that.
But so you just need to be hand-fed it, is what you're saying. So what you're saying is Transformers is too subtle for you, AJ?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You get what I mean, though, right?
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily a strike against it, but it would be something that with no one's going to be mad if Transformers has a moral. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's going to ruin the movie. It would require such little effort. Just go back and put it in the rewrites. Just go, oh yeah, this is here. Like Hot Fuzz, one of my favourite movies of all time. Hot Fuzz is about how having friends is more important than working. And it's so simple. It's so simple to say that. And they just show that, and it's fine. And if that wasn't in there, it would feel, it makes the movie better, that being in there.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it worse.
Okay.
And maybe if Transformers had a moral or had an underlining message, I would maybe like it a bit more.
Yeah. Now... Yeah, oh, sorry.
Is the first Transformers... I mean, like, get it out of the way. Like, these are shallow films. But is Transformers 1... Is the Sam character not just a really basic audience surrogate for the average teenage guy? Like, teenage male, which we were all when we first saw that film. And
I was 22 when I first saw Transformers.
He has an incredible adventure. It's. I think what it's about is being a young man, being a young person, and getting your first car, which really is becoming independent truly for the first time. And he has to, stand on his own, aside from his parents, and he gets thrown into this incredible scenario and situation, and he has to step up and ultimately save the world. And I think it's about independent. Like, if the film at its most basic is about owning your first car, which I'm pretty sure Steven Spielberg said like that's the kind of pitch they had for the first Transformers.
Great. Yeah.
The young guy owns his first car. That time in in most people's life is your first steps into becoming a independent adult. I think that's what the first Transformers is.
It's about caring,
and it's about discovering a bigger world than you thought was out there.
Yeah, and it's about caring for things that are smaller than you.
10 out of 10. Perfect film.
Yeah. Joseph Coughlin has chimed in and said that Transformers has a theme and a sent a YouTube link, which I'm presuming is the theme song to Transformers. which when I
killer meme, dude. Spicy meme.
It's either there or it'll be.
I don't want to click on it. I feel like someone's going to fuck up if I click on it.
Let's all just assume that that's what it is, and we're probably right.
Good stuff. We'll check it at the very end.
Yeah. So
yeah, it was point taken, but I think the film...
You said about how no one would be angry if Transformers had a moral. Segueing seamlessly, as we like to do on this podcast...
especially by talking about it.
Optimus Prime is one of these, like...
he's a strong homosexual character in film.
he's like that. He's that kind of... that Superman, Captain America, that, like... complete. He's 100% moral backbone. He's like. But then
when you pitch it, just out of interest, like, sorry to just jump in.
Yeah.
The character of I reckon Bumblebee is like a 25-year-old. Harold is not like in universe
9,000.
But like Harold, I picture Optimus Prime being like a 60-year-old.
Yeah, I was gonna say 60.
And like, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
he's definitely.
Do you want me to argue with you?
He's like an old wise one.
It's so weird to me that he is like the kind of hero character of the films because he's.
Well, he's not. He's
feels like an old dude.
He's the Obi-Wan Kenobi to.
Yeah, that's the thing. So he's supposed to be this like morally upstanding kind of character, and from what I understand of the like game, the TV show, and anything like that,
I thought you said the gay, and I was like, "We're still talking about."
Like he's he's one of these like would never do anything wrong and like doesn't want to kill anyone unless he absolutely has to. Exactly. In these movies, he's kind of like a vengeful dick.
In all of them.
Well, okay. From the second
I would
one,
say just the fourth one.
The second one opens with him killing a Transformer like execution style. He's down, and then Optimus Prime fucking shoots him in the head, and it's like the Optimus Prime.
That happens a couple of times.
Yeah, would never do, and then like he's just so angry all the time. And then the fourth film ends with him being like, "Leave Earth the fuck alone. because I'm actually gonna come to Cybertron. I'm gonna kill you.
to the creators.
Right. That's
Yeah.
what happened at the end of the fourth one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's him flying, because now he's got rocket boots.
He's off to-
he's flying off to Cybertron. He's like, leave Earth alone
Because
I'll actually smash you, dude.
I thought that was cool though. I was like, the ending of Transformers 4, I was like,
One of my contacts fell out because I rolled my eyes so hard.
I would say the main problem with Optimus Prime's character in the fourth one specifically is that he's given up. He's like, oh, humans are, he's talking all about leaving Earth now, and at one point he's like, I promised one day that I would never kill humans, but whoever caused this is going to die.
Yeah, that's so vengeful and weird.
Optimus, it's not that. It's like cool to have that character can have cracks and weaknesses, but not Optimus at his age wouldn't think that. He's developed too much beyond that.
Yeah.
I felt like it compromised his character in a bad way.
I think this is symptomatic of this weird thing where the films treat the Transformers as characters that we should care about, and then in the next scene they will just brutally execute them in a way that it's like, they're just cars, like who cares? And it's a very strange, straddling of tones and...
Yeah. All right. Here's an interesting argument we can have. What's the best Linkin Park banger? What I've Done, New Divide, or Iridescent?
New Divide.
Whatever the first one was.
I'm gonna argue Iridescent.
Whatever. You are not.
You are not. No, you're not.
Is an Imagine Dragons song, because there's an Imagine Dragons song at the end of the fourth one. Is there an Imagine Dragons song at the end of the fifth one, do you think?
Do you want me to look up?
Because
Last
wouldn't it be
Night's
interesting if like in 10 years' time they refer to the different generations of Transformers movies as the Linkin Park trilogy and the Imagine Dragons trilogy or duology? I feel like I want Michael Bay to return for the sixth one.
Yeah. So he said he's not going to. Well, let's get that out of the bag.
Would you guys want him to?
Yes, I just said that.
I do. I actually would love him
too.
to.
Yeah.
Because I'd love to see him do
I
that.
honestly feel like Michael Bay's Transformers franchise, he's like one of the only auteur filmmakers working in Hollywood, mainstream Hollywood at the moment. Like, he makes those films exactly the way he wants to make them. He's in a position where, for whatever reason, he gets to be his weird self. And I think that actually should be celebrated.
It should be, but unfortunately it's the equivalent of like a really good like hot dog maker. Like, he makes this great hot dog, but then someone next to you is like eating a sirloin steak, and steak is better than hot dogs. There, I said it.
All right. Welcome to Food Franchise Fortnights. As we talk about food. Hot dogs better than steak? For opinions? Dreaming.
Fuck off.
I don't know if we have just been through each film and talked about what we like and dislike on a film-by-film specific basis.
All right.
Have we done that?
I can't remember.
Transformers 1, like, hate, go, AJ.
Well, I feel like I've covered that.
Okay.
I love the opening. If the whole franchise was just a 10-minute short film, which is that opening with the helicopter rocking up to the
Oh,
enemy base,
yes.
and they're like,
Yeah.
"Who are you?"
Love
And it's
that.
like, and the guy's like,
It's like I'm watching
45X. That chopper went down in Vietnam. Check it and double check it. It's like, I did, sir. My friend's on that chopper. Like, and then you're like, "What the hell is this?" And it's like, wah, 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 and the helicopter transforms.
Yeah, that
and
is
they're
cool.
all like, "Oh my god, that is awesome!" That opening,
and
the
then
way
it-
they treat a transformer. That transformer is not a character; it's a threat, and it's just an awesome sequence. If that's where it finished, 10 out of 10, perfect. And
Yeah,
the
if
rest
there
of
was
the film's
like
pretty
a
good.
fan film,
But I feel
you'd
like-
be like, make
Yeah.
a Transformers film.
That opening to Transformers 1 kind of summarizes the whole film, because the whole first film feels very restrained and feels very kind of like self-serious, and it's all, everything kind of works. There are just loads of great moments in the first Transformers film.
The thing I liked the most about Transformers was probably the first film. Was probably the parents, and not necessarily the parents, but their interaction with
100%.
Sam. I love that scene where his mum's like, "Were you masturbating?" And the look on the dad's
mum
face
is amazing.
So they're trying to figure out why Sam's being so secretive, and it's because he's got a transformer out his backyard.
And
A girl in his
Michaela
room.
in his room.
Yeah.
And he's trying to get them to leave his room, and then his mum goes, "Well, what's the matter, Sam? Were you masturbating?" And it cuts to like a reverse shot of Sam and Sam's dad, and the look on Sam's dad's face is just like, Are you serious? like he's like, honey, that's a man-to-man, and it's like it's chaos.
Sam's happy time.
Yeah, and it's very the parents of Easy A.
Yeah, so
And that is why it's a film about like growing up.
I agree.
Yeah.
Being separate
and
to your
I'm
parents.
going to jump on that and say my favorite part of the first Transformers movie, is the parents,
whole
and then
first trilogy.
let's go to the second movie.
Oh, what's
my
your
least
favorite?
favorite part is the parents.
Oh,
They're
no!
fucking horrible in that film.
no.
Holy shit! Boy, did they miss the fucking mark on that film. Oh my god. Okay, so they're like, hey, you liked this character in the first one, let's cram them down your throat until you literally choke and die on them.
If Transformers 1 was that hot dog I was talking about earlier, the parents in Transformers 2 is the shitload of mustard and ketchup you put on.
Like, oh my, so there's a scene, Sam's going off to college and the mum goes and she gets high. She gets so high that both of the films, both of the colleges that were real life users filming locations saw that scene and said, you cannot name us. And then
I'd do anything for an A.
and then they just show up in the climax in Egypt for no reason.
They're in Egypt.
They just
kidnapped by a
show up in
Transformer.
Egypt.
What's worse, the overuse of the parents or the racist characters?
The racist characters
We've sort of touched on.
far.
Could you describe the racist characters for us, Rowan? For those who
Well, I
haven't
don't
seen.
want to come across as racist.
Have you
like
guys
that.
seen SpongeBob?
Yeah.
Imagine him being a racist stereotype.
So they're a pair of twins, and I say that in the sense that that's what they're called.
And they're called Skids and Mudflap.
Skids and Mudflap.
And
so
they
they're
are
Transformers.
illiterate, and they are
They look like monkeys.
urban,
Yep.
and yeah.
They're black stereotyps. Black stereotypes or like Mexican stereotypes.
Absolutely.
Somewhere in between.
Yeah.
They're
Which is in a
black
way more racist than them just being one stereotype.
Yeah. Like, just stick to your minorities.
The amount that they look like monkeys.
And they are
like robotic
they
monkeys.
Are absolutely
is so-
not funny on any level.
There's-
Nothing they add
yeah.
to the film is good.
And do they just show up out of nowhere, or did I miss them?
I think that's one of the biggest problems I have with Transformers number. So we've talked about number 1.
Yeah.
The biggest problem I have with Transformers number 2 is you open and it's like, here's a ton of exposition, here's a ton of stuff that's happened. We're completely kind of rewriting like where this film universe is at.
Mm-hmm.
Now the Transformers are doing X, Y, and Z, and all these new Transformers have arrived, and it feels like a completely different series of films.
It's interesting because they do the bigger and just assuming that means better, and then in the third one they go bigger again, but it actually is better. Like they go bigger in a different way in each film.
It's bigger because
The stakes are way
people
higher in the third film. Yeah,
And I think one of the biggest problem, the biggest offence that Transformers 2 commits is about halfway through the film they have Megatron broadcast to the entire world, we are here, we are Transformers, and the entire point of robots in disguise is completely abandoned from the franchise from that point
yeah,
on.
that's
Like,
a really good point.
the idea that these are robots that, you know, any car could turn into a robot
Yeah.
is just gone. I
That's a
remember
really good observation.
after watching
I
the
never thought
first
of that.
film, I remember sitting at the bus stop, like I love the first film. After sitting at the bus stop and just watching cars going past and just imagining them just transform
Is
into
that one a
running
Transformer?
robots.
Is that one?
And like that was the joy of the first film. It was like any vehicle could be a transformer. It's like, oh, how would it transform all the bits? And yeah, number 2, who cares? They're not. They just they transform when they need to go fast. They
Yeah,
don't
and
need
it's
to be
even like
disguised.
like a villain like the Fallen. It's like he's just a robot, you know.
And also, when I hear the Fallen, I think of plural.
Yeah.
That's
AJ was
yeah.
so gutted when they're like, he's called the Fallen, and you're like, it's one guy. Aw.
I mean, you think the Fallen, you know? You don't I
Yeah.
don't know. I guess there's no pluralization there. Emily has asked us, have you tried watching them all at the same time?
No.
That's someone did
something
that, right?
I think Red Letter Media
Oh
did that.
yes, yeah.
And randomly things would line up.
Yeah, they said, I remember hearing that something like the sexy love interest, who's Megan Fox in the first 2 and Rosie Huntington-Whiteley in the third film, show up at like within a second of each other.
Yeah, and
that sort of
the
thing.
films hit apparently all the films hit the same points, and then just like the second one will go on for another 10 minutes, and then the third one goes on for another 10 minutes. Like the final battles will start at the same time, which is interesting because the second film's final battle is literally like, oh, the Fallen's here, the world's going to end. Oh wait, Optimus Prime came back to life because he died earlier, and now he's got he's got a suit and he can fly, and he punched the Fallen now and he's dead. And, oh, the film's ended.
I did like Jet Man. What was his name? Jetfire. He was a cool Transformer.
The old Transformer.
Yeah, they awakened one in an army airplane museum. And
Worst part of Transformers 2 is the scrotum.
No, the worst part of Transformers 2 was the girl who was a Terminator Transformer. And so,
Can we talk about that in a second?
Transformers don't need to be robots, cars. They can just be people.
Let's.
And then it's never brought up.
I'm bringing out the proverbial pins, and I'm putting a pin in that. I want to talk about that next. But Richard, what's the scrotum?
Okay, so
what is the scrotum?
There's a giant Transformer, and John Turturro is standing under it, and he's trying to message his location, and he looks up, and these two...
not Chekhov's gun, the gun that is just randomly introduced at the end of the film and is not set up at any point.
There's these two wrecking balls between the two, the Transformers' two legs, and John Turturro looks up at them and goes, "I'm directly beneath the enemy's scrotum."
Which there's a way you can make that joke work. That's not it.
Yeah,
just not the worst thing in the film. It's not particularly funny.
Whereabouts are you? Like, what can you see? And he looks up and goes, "I'd rather not say." That's how you do it, you know? You don't use the word scrotum.
Yeah. You don't use the word scrotum in any context, ever.
We'll bleep it in this podcast.
On the scrotum, while we're on the girl Transformer, so in the second one, Sam gets accosted by a sexy lady who turns out to be
Isabel Lucas,
who's a Transformer, and of course Michaela walks in on him as she's like straddling him against his will, and it turns out she's a Transformer, and she has like this robotic tongue that shoots out.
It's diesely tinged.
And I think both those examples and numerous others are the fundamental problem with this series, and that is how sexual these series are. This series is over-sexualized, and I think what annoys me about it, one is that it's there's a very like kind of male gazy kind of feel to it all, and another is like these are kids' toys. Like I feel like there's a better film where these are more family oriented movies, and we'll get to that tomorrow and continue the franchise on my end. I think that the over-sexualization in this movie reaches its peak in the fourth one when there's a detailed plot point about the fact that Mark Wahlberg's character, whose name is Cade Yeager, his 17-year-old daughter is dating a 20-year-old guy, and when it's brought up that she's a minor, her 20-year-old boyfriend pulls out a card with Romeo and Juliet written on it, and it's like this clause that's valid in Texas where if you were dating before, but if two people are dating before one of them reaches the age of not being a minor anymore, being a major. What would that be called? It can still be legal. And me and Rowan were talking about it when we were watching it, and I was saying how like I said to you, Rowan, I was like, does this come from a place of reality? Like, is Michael Bay super protective of his daughters? You know, is like because Cade is very protective of his daughter, and it's all very very weird with the age thing. And I was like, yeah, maybe Michael Bay is really protective of his daughters, and this is like creepy way of telling his daughters, this is how I think. Maybe.
I mean,
okay, so
the assumption you're making there is that Michael Bay writes these films.
That's true.
Yeah, he is.
But also, then you looked it up. Michael Bay doesn't have kids, and he's not married, which led me to the assumption: is Michael Bay a virgin? Because that would make sense with this. And there's nothing wrong with being a virgin, but there is something wrong with being a virgin and making movies that are as like dripping with sex as these ones. Like, if Michael Bay's a virgin, are you Googling that? Because that's hilarious.
You're not going to get an answer on Google.
And he made these films that, like, there's a shot in the second one where it pans over to Megan Fox and she's straddling this motorbike as she's working on it, and she's, wearing a tank top and short shorts.
I would say that is more just Michael Bay's advertising background coming out, and that's like the only way he knows how to shoot these setups, is make them look gorgeous on every level. I don't think it's that Michael Bay's a virgin. I think he's the most aggressively heterosexual man in Hollywood.
And maybe those two things are mutually exclusive.
Absolutely puts that in his films.
There's nothing on about his like dating life or anything like that on Wikipedia.
I don't think he's married.
Leonard Nimoy's his cousin-in-law, or was.
That's how he got him in the film.
Still is. Yeah, how did Leonard Nimoy end up?
He asked him randomly because that was part of the documentary. He just said,
turn up.
It's
Turn up tomorrow.
How have we not worked together yet? Do you want to be in the film? All you have to do is a bunch of voiceover work.
He was great, man.
But it's by the same token, Hugo Weaving and Michael Bay have never met. Hugo Weaving just rocks up to a studio every 3 years and records and makes $7,500,000, whatever.
So the Romeo and Juliet laws that you talked about, the thing I love about that is that it's laminated in his wallet. It's like
he clearly has to show people
he's
this
ready
often.
to go.
Yeah. Like people are like, isn't that a little weird? He goes, and he wore out the old one. He's like, I'm going to laminate this thing. The Romeo and Juliet laws is a real thing in Texas.
I bet it is, but it's weird that he felt it was important enough to bring up at the movie.
So basically, if a young adult over the age of 17 has consensual sexual relations with someone under the age of 17, but at least 15 years old, with no more than a 4-year age difference between the two, the law does not require the older party to register as a sex offender if convicted of statutory rape.
Oh, wait, so the law is only around not requiring the older party to register, so they could still be convicted of statutory rape?
So she could, or even
just not register.
I'm pretty sure Cade could still press charges against him.
Right.
But then he's not a sex offender.
We don't know the
But he could still be convicted. What's the difference? Yeah, anyway. Whatever.
I don't know. Who knows?
But isn't it weird?
I don't know enough about sex.
At one point during the writing process of that, someone decided to put in these movies that are very broad, not very, like, they don't talk about the nuance a lot of the characters. Yeah. They don't talk about the nuance a lot of where they are in their lives. Someone thought, it'd be a good element for Transformers 4 if the main character's daughter was 17 and dating a 20-year-old, but it's okay because they've got the Romeo and Juliet.
Well, I think it was like the kind of thing that they liked the idea of having Mark Wahlberg have an underage daughter and being overprotective. They're like, we need another guy, we need a love interest. It's like, we don't want another teenager. What if he's like a cool guy? He's in college, and it's like, but then people
doesn't that make him a rapist?
Yeah. Someone they're stuck on this for days. Then one of the writers bursts in the water. He's like, Google the Romeo and Juliet statute. So
that's why the film's set in Texas now.
Yeah.
Like they're like, where's the law where it's legal for them to fuck?
It is a baffling plot point.
Because he could just be a teenager as well. The story of Mark Wahlberg learning to.
Or is it more that they wanted to have two young adults, but they didn't want to have, like, they still needed one of the characters to be Mark Wahlberg's daughter, and she had to be young enough that she'd act like his daughter.
Yeah, they're trying to get the mid to late 30s in Mark Wahlberg. They're trying to get the teenage in the girl. What's her name? Do we remember?
No.
Tessa. And they're trying to get the young adult demographic in 20-year-old Lucky Charms.
Frogged over number 3.
Number 3.
Sorry.
Worst part of the first 2 hours. Best part is the last 45 minutes. Like the last 45 minutes is awesome.
What are the first 2 hours again?
Exactly.
Well, that's the thing. I would struggle to tell you what these movies are about, but I can tell you what they look like.
You get that amazing bit where Sam is like kicking the shit out of his car. And Patrick Dempsey comes around and it's like, it won't start that. I don't know that, but I love that bit. It's funny. So in watching in the documentary, Megan Fox was in the rehearsals for Transformers 3.
All right. Yeah.
She was. They parted ways very close to the start of production, and they talk about how the script was basically not rewritten when she left.
Wow.
Other than a couple of minor lines. So when I was watching number 3 with that in mind, it is really obvious that they were extending and continuing that relationship in those characters. And it's kind of hilarious that they didn't have to change anything to make it a brand new character. Like, it's just like the girlfriend character is completely disposable.
Do we know why Megan Fox left?
She called Michael Bay a Nazi and likened him to Hitler.
Yeah, but who hasn't?
And then
Shia LaBeouf said the second film was terrible.
But they all did, I think. They all admitted that the second
Michael
was
Bay
terrible.
said. It was writer's strike stuff as well.
But the writer's strike had a big impact on number 2 being crap. But then Michael Bay went and put her in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So they're clearly on decent terms.
These are very... I mean, I know, obviously.
Interesting.
Like, having seen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles now for this podcast and then watching Transformers, there's definitely the attempt... that you can see the attempt to make it as big as Transformers, but it wasn't.
And then number 3 kind of rounds off the trilogy.
Yeah, at the end of number 3, he tells Rosie Huntington-Whiteley that he loves her. And it's a big deal. And in number 2, it was the big deal that he couldn't tell Megan Fox that he loves her.
That is just the weakest character development plot line ever. But
Is it weaker than Marty McFly not wanting to be called Chicken?
No, that works for me.
It didn't work when we did the last podcast.
He's come round.
Really?
You know what? Back to the Future is a perfect film.
All
All
three
right.
of those films are 5 out of 5. Let's be honest.
All right. Is there anything else we want to bring up? Because I feel like we're getting pretty long-winded.
We're trying
and,
the patience of our three.
and
viewers.
we've still got a fifth film to talk about and
that's
a
true.
franchise to continue.
That's true.
Do
you want to? How about just for a little treat?
Yeah.
We talk about titles for a bit.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about titles. So this is an
Why are we
interesting
talking
one.
about titles?
Oh, well, we talk about titles a lot on this podcast.
Oh, okay.
So
It's not why, but
yeah, it's interesting because it's like Transformers is obviously like call it Transformers, and then Revenge of the Fallen, Dark of the Moon, Age of Extinction, The Last Night.
can I,
I mean,
go
let's be
through
real. People go to the cinema and they go, "I'll have one ticket to Transformers."
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
You know?
But for my own semantics,
Shut up, AJ.
let me go through and tell you why each one irks me.
Okay.
Transformers is fine. Call it Transformers. The only suggestion I would say is maybe if you call it Transformers the something something something, then maybe you've got like a cool like
like a Harry Potter style.
yeah,
sure.
exactly.
What would be your subtitle then?
Something about the Allspark. I don't know.
Transformers: The Revenge of the Allspark.
Yeah.
How about the fact that none of these films work without their MacGuffins? At this time, we don't know what the MacGuffin of the fifth film is, but we know it'll be mentioned in the opening narration.
That's true. Yeah.
Before time began,
There was this thing. Yeah, sure. Okay, Revenge of the Fallen.
Actually, just a quick point. In the opening narration of Transformers 1, Optimus Prime talks about a planet that they don't know about called Earth. Like, our attention was drawn to a planet, an unknown planet called Earth. And then the subsequent 4 films have all talked about how mankind knew about Transformers, Transformers knew about Earth.
Yeah, the Transformers were there
is
in the time of dinosaurs.
No logic to any... There's no continuity.
Yeah.
Star Wars fans and the canon fans would just be outraged.
Okay, so Revenge of the Fallen, I'm not. It's kind of a weird thing to say. Like, I don't know. That just maybe because the Fallen's only a singular.
Yeah, it's like
I don't,
Good Will Hunting.
I don't have too much of a problem with it.
Why has he fallen?
I don't know why he fell.
That's just
Because
his
he's
name,
Lucifer,
The Fallen.
right? He's like a Lucifer.
Yeah. Did he try and... Yeah, okay,
Allegory.
sure, whatever.
Dark of the Moon just sounds like you forgot what Dark Side of the Moon was called.
Yeah. It's real weird because it's about the dark side of the
What's
moon.
the secret history of why we went to the moon?
Yeah, which is a good idea. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Age of Extinction is so vague. Like, it's
Yeah.
got dinosaurs in it.
It's
Okay.
weird because it's like Age of Extinction, and then like a year later we had Age of Ultron,
Yeah.
and it's like, and then The Last Night you've got The Dark Knight and The Last Jedi. It's like, why?
The Last
making it
Night
sound
I don't
things?
like because it breaks the format of the something.
Yeah.
Something of the something.
Age of Extinction does as well. Age of the
Yeah, but at least it's of Extinction.
yeah. The Last Night.
So excited that John Turturro is in the new one.
But you know what? That being said, this is a similar situation to my grievances with calling the fifth Bourne movie Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
If the sixth Transformers movie is called something that isn't something of the something, then you're fine. Then
Transformers 6.
well, that would suck. But if it was called Transformers: The Final Frontier, or something like that, it's like, okay, now you've broken the pattern. So just to clarify, if they called the sixth Jason Bourne movie something else that wasn't the Bourne something, then it's fine again because you've broken
Yeah.
your pattern and established that you've broken.
Jason
your
Bourne 2.
pattern. Okay, well now you're just finding poking holes
You're just
in my
aggravating me.
airtight semantics.
Well,
Well-
call it Transformers 5, even though it's the...
Well, do we want to talk about what the future is?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so
You mean
there
Kevin
is. We won't give our own continuations, but there is a Transformers 6 currently untitled, due for 2019. There's also a spin-off, the start of a cinematic universe, what we've all been wanting, called Transformers Universe Bumblebee.
Now, I'm excited for that because
Wow.
the director.
Yeah, so it's going to be directed
You
by
guys know a
Trevor.
lot of stuff I don't know.
It's going to be directed by Travis Knight, who directed Kubo and the Two Strings.
Who's a better movie than like a lot of stuff Michael Bay's done. So-
And it's going to star Haley Steinfeld
yep.
and be set in 1985.
That's what you needed to happen.
Yeah.
Like, I remember a lot of people were real pissed off when they found out that Transformers: The Last Night wasn't set in medieval times.
Well, okay,
Like, not completely.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's
Yeah.
it does deal with medieval times.
So, is this in the canon and continuity of the main films?
Yeah.
Yes,
So, Bumblebee's been on Earth since 1985.
at
Yeah.
least. That's a great idea, and maybe
Let's
like
go.
I feel
I'll
like I'm
watch
gonna
that.
like Bumblebee more than the other ones.
Yeah, it's interesting though. Like, so this is their new naming convention now. Apparently, Transformers Universe subtitle.
Yeah.
Wait, Transformers Universe.
Yeah. Transformers Universe Megatron.
Oh, cool.
Okay, and so you got Transformers 6 show confirmed 2019. So we're getting one every year basically. 2018 we're getting Bumblebee. They've said Michael Bay has said that there are 14 scripts ready to go for the Transformers universe. So we've got
I'll take one.
a potential G.I. Joe Transformers crossover, which is being written. Also a potential G.I. Joe Gem and the Holograms crossover, just for fun. And also there's one called, it's about the origin of the Autobots versus the Decepticons, and it's called Transformers 1.
That's cool. I like that.
Do you guys want to watch Transformers 1?
My favourite.
I think, yeah, Transformers 1's the best Transformers. No, Transformers is the best. No, I don't mind any of this extended universe stuff or expanded cinematic universe
Yeah, there's
stuff.
not enough cinematic universe, is it?
Well, it's more that they sound like kind of good ideas. I'm not sure how psyched I am for the Hasbro cinematic universe, but I could see.
Yeah, because like Gem and the Holograms and G.I. Joe are both dead in the water. Like no one gives a shit about either.
Did Gem and the Holograms even happen?
Yeah, it came out and it's
my
considered one of
gosh.
the biggest flops of all time.
Oh my gosh, I had
and
no
we
idea.
used to give it away on DVD for sticky on sticky TV, and I would ask to give the kids a different DVD because I was like, this is actually just mean to put the kids through this.
Is there where are we at with the Transformers My Little Pony crossover?
It's
Or
I'm
Hasbro
tapping
versus
the side of my
Mattel,
nose.
where Transformers fights Barbie. That's what I want to see.
who knows.
What other than G.I. Joe kind of makes sense, I guess.
Yeah,
But
because
then-
you just have them team up with Channing Tatum.
But then why do they need to do they until the Transformers movies stop making like dump trucks loads of cash, they don't need to cross them over with anything.
Yeah.
So, but show us the Hasbro properties.
Okay, so Hasbro properties, just for some of these, you've got Transformers, Monopoly, My Little Pony, G.I. Joe, Furby, Beyblades, Cabbage Patch Kids, Easy Bake Oven, Hamtaro, Gem and the Holograms, Jurassic Park. They've got the product rights to that.
They obviously don't have the film rights.
Hold on! Oh, they don't have the film rights.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Star Wars film
Yeah, they've
rights.
also got
Oh,
Star
I
Wars
was
and a bunch of
gonna
other
say so like
The characters
Transformers
are all
is
like
like
2D.
the
and
Jurassic universe.
Mr. Potato Head, Nerf, Play-Doh, Zoids, Battleship, Cluedo, Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, Risk, Scrabble, Trivial Pursuit, Ouija, and Bop It.
Bop it.
Transformers vs. Bopper. Now the one that makes sense there would be Zoids, right?
Start.
They should probably
yeah.
actually do a Zoids
Yeah.
Transformers movie. Those are all very interesting ideas, and I would entertain the idea of any of those movies, but I don't know if they should have a crossover with.
Yeah, there's a
There's
Monopoly
really
movie in the works. It's
none
been,
of
it's
those.
been
Yeah,
for like 10
but-
years.
Is the Monopoly movie going to be in the same continuity as Transformers? Like, that's, I guess, my other issue with it being a G.I. Joe crossover is, like, I feel like G.I. Joe would know about the destruction of Chicago. Like,
Yeah.
Anyway,
Everyone would know.
Surely at some point they're just going to reboot the whole thing.
Yeah.
But
That's what we need.
the difference I think there is like Transformers and G.I. Joe have both had like cartoons, and there's like a storyline that goes with those properties, whereas there's no storyline that goes with Play-Doh.
Yeah,
Furby?
so they've got...
And isn't Furby?
Oh my gosh, Furby! No, there's a Furby in Transformers 1, isn't there?
yeah.
It gets affected by the Allspark and turns into the.
It was like there was a Furby truck.
Oh, okay. Well, that was a missed opportunity. Imagine a bunch of Furbies. That'd be great. That'd be a great scene if all like
Isn't
the.
Furby just Gremlins?
No.
Not me. Okay.
Oh, are you saying like are they like Gremlins?
Well, I actually for some reason I thought they were the same thing.
No,
Like,
they're not.
yeah. Okay.
So
Slightly different fuzzy creatures,
let's
just like me.
put a pin.
Should we start taking pins out of things?
We've got no pins left.
Right, okay, let's take a pin out. What have we taken? Put pins in.
Oh, we should have written down what we were putting pins in.
Ugh.
I feel like
got
we've actually
holes
come
in
back to most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
had.
no, I think-
Yeah.
I feel like there was something.
I just don't like using pins twice.
Right, yeah.
Once I've used a pin, I throw a pin out. Take a pin, leave a pin.
Yeah, so I think, Rowan, you had a couple of things you wanted to talk about, didn't you?
Yeah, I just was trying to find. I had notes written on all three Transformers films. So I was gonna. Just trying to get online.
Imagine if there was the Allspark here and it like affected your iPad. That's my improv. I've used the things around me to draw inspiration.
To create comedy.
Okay. Well,
Imagine if this one thing happened.
Yeah. Is it because you turned Wi-Fi off?
yeah, I think it is.
Well, we've got a whole other, probably half an hour of this podcast to go after this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so at this point, like, watching the first three... So I love the first one, and then it's been kind of downhill since then. In rewatching the first three, I was like, I'm starting to get really excited about number 5. And then, watching a couple of videos of Michael Bay talking about how, he believes in... It's worth noting, I think, in a totally unsarcastic way, Transformers 5 is the only film being shot in native stereo 3D that's being released this year.
Okay.
Which to me is really interesting because the 3D thing has kind of come and gone, but he is still making films for the big screen. You can be a cynic, you can hate his films, but he clearly cares about providing a spectacle, and he has a big heart on for shooting things in real, like shooting as much practically as he can.
Yeah.
You've got to give the man his credit. He doesn't shoot with a second unit. Shoots his entire movies by himself
That's insane
in
for these
record
kind of
time.
movies. Yeah.
And apparently another director making those same films, the films would cost like 30% more because he moves so quickly and he works so efficiently with his crew. Like the guy has...
He's perfected his
good.
craft.
He's good at making.
He is an auteur filmmaker.
And yeah, that's the thing. He's good
And
at
he
making
wants
hot dogs.
to give us a movie shot in native 3D, specifically formatted for IMAX. And I'm very interested to see what that is.
I've got to give props to Michael Bay in a lot of ways because I love his attitude of like people are like, Michael Bay, how do you feel that your movies are terrible? And he goes, hey, critics that hate them still bought a fucking ticket.
Yeah, and the films make crazy amounts of money.
Yeah.
And
He's the Adam Sandler of action
And he
directors.
has in his repertoire
Yes.
like 3 of the best blockbusters, like pure blockbusters ever made. Like Armageddon is a incredible blockbuster. It works on, he didn't write the script, so the story is like as good as it is and is fairly solid. And the whole film, start to finish, is a bloody good time.
Yeah,
Has an emotional core to it that really gets paid out at the end, and it has on the edge of your seat action throughout the film. There's he can make good films when he wants to. In these last few Transformers,
So-
what I was saying is, so I'm getting really excited watching the first 3, and then just watching the 4th one today. Hadn't watched it since I saw it in theaters, and now I'm like, oh, what the hell?
Oh, this is the continuity they're doing.
Why am I here in Auckland when Dunkirk comes out in a month and I don't have tickets to see that in IMAX? But
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I'm slightly regretting that decision.
It's interesting. Yeah, Dunkirk announced today. It's only an hour and 45 minutes long.
Yeah, that's fuck. That is
I wonder
I'm
what
so
Michael
excited
Bay
for that.
thinks of movies.
Just
that
a
are
sidetrack.
only
I
45
think he
minutes
has made the Mad Max of World War II films. Like,
Yeah.
all in real time.
I reckon,
super relentless.
Dunkirk's could has potential best.
Hopefully we get to see a
film.
preview for it tomorrow night.
True, but
Yeah, in New
also,
Zealand.
Interestingly,
on the preview on the IMAX.
if the Dark Knight, the Last Night, grosses $1 billion, Michael Bay will be the first director to have directed $3 billion films.
Wow.
It probably will gross $1 billion.
Yeah,
don't
I reckon
think
it'll
that's-
gross $9 billion.
I reckon it won't even gross $1.
Well, actually,
We haven't bought our tickets yet.
I have it written down that it's currently grossed 0, according to statistics.
Oh, good.
So I expect
Looks like I'm in the
those
right
figures
there.
to change.
Looks like I've got a horse ahead, as it were.
A horse of head. They've got a head of hair.
Horsey.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we go see Transformers last night?
Right.
Should we go see Transformers tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Hold tight, dear listeners, for a hot take on
And
Transformers
you
The Last
watch
Night.
Cool. We'll cut the podcast here.
Don't do. No, I'll put the Transformers theme.
Oh, can you put in?
The music is great.
Shall I put in the Logan trailer? All right.
Play like a random audio clip of Optimus Prime saying something to Sam.
Okay.
Samuel Woodworker.
Cross this new divide.
My little pony, what will today's adventure be? My little pony, will there be exciting sights to see? Will you wander hither and yonder, letting your heart be your guide? My little pony, I'll be there right by your side. I'll be there right by your side.
And we're back. We did it, guys. We've now seen
Transformers: The Last Night, 2017.
This-
Michael Bay's final outing in the Transformers franchise, and you know what? It's pretty damn good.
This was the worst birthday I've ever had.
I was being facetious.
Oh,
It's not good. That's my hot take. Rowan, thoughts?
I liked it.
you did not. What do you mean?
Okay, well, who knows, right? Maybe I just enjoyed the experience
Right.
of like watching it with you guys.
Just coming
and all
up
that
with
sort of
your
stuff.
buddies.
I was expecting it to like, drop away into like terrible land, and
Yeah.
it was never great, but it never like bottomed out the way I think the Age of Extinction did.
No, I disagree. That was embarrassing. That was an embarrassing film.
You think that was worse than?
I
Age
think
of
that's the
Extinction?
worst one of the five.
Ooh.
Yeah, like,
Am I in the unique position of being the only person who saw them all in theaters when they first came out?
yes.
Yep.
I saw the first, second, and fifth in theaters.
I've seen the fifth in theaters.
Yeah, so
I paid $30 to see this movie in theaters on my birthday.
it's I guess we talked about it a little bit in the first half of the podcast, but we talked about expectations, and that Transformers 2 personally offended me in a way that no other film has, whereas Transformers 5 just isn't very good.
I mean, I would agree with that.
But
it's not a great movie.
I understand that it is enjoyable, and I did laugh at more than I have at a lot of films.
I'm in such a negative mood. I didn't enjoy. I enjoyed laughing at various bits. I thought there were minor little treats. Overall, one of the worst film-going experiences in a long time.
Can we just really quickly, for my own clarity, can we just try and recap like what happens in the film?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's good.
Richard, do you want to do that, or should
Or
we
just
go?
it's just in a like
Okay.
hodgepodge of a round table.
It starts off in 1600 years ago, where there's the big battle. They just call it the big
The
battle.
battle of whatever. Yeah.
Everyone knows it. I don't need to. I don't want to mansplain
Ancient
it to the
history.
audience. And Merlin is there. This is
So
around King Arthur
meanwhile,
times.
Merlin is off getting the staff.
Getting the
procuring
staff.
The
No, we don't
film
need to
for
be
the battle.
this specific about it. I don't want to. I want to relive the movie
And
as
then
little
he
as
says,
possible.
and he does that bit where he drinks. He stops and he just drinks and drinks and drinks.
And
Merlin
also Merlin
is-
is played by Stanley Tucci.
Inexplicably playing a different character from
Yeah.
like what you could cast either no one or someone else. Why recast Stanley Tucci?
Because he ran into Michael Bay at a party and he's like, fuck, I didn't put you in the new one.
Really?
No.
Do you think Michael Bay gets these great actors because it's like, hey man, do you want to come and do like a few days work for some crazy good money and you just don't even have to care?
Okay, let's just breeze through the rest of the plot.
Okay, so then we
so
fast forward to modern day,
Modern day.
and at that point we catch up with Optimus Prime floating through space.
Yeah, so
Which
like,
was hilarious because they were like, Optimus is still out there, and then it
he's
cuts to
all
like this
frozen, like,
dead frozen Optimus
Last
Prime.
time we saw him, he was charging with like his fist out, like heading off to meet his maker.
I'd love to see the moment where he's like, I can't sustain
And he's like,
this.
I'm really cold. I'm gonna just go to sleep.
Yet
and power down.
he still makes it to Cybertron without a hitch.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just how
he
you get to
arrives on-
Cybertron.
but he crashes crashes to Cybertron.
Conveniently right at the place where he needs to be.
And they don't seem to travel through space like they do in the first one, where they're all kind of cocooned in a comet, ready to, that's like their travel mode. He's just, with his shield and his sword, like flying like Superman. Okay, and then we catch up. Then I think this was the weakest part of the film for me, like the graveyard of a city with like random transformers everywhere, and the kids meet Isabel.
So this was the whole
Isabel with
trailer.
the-
Like these four kids, this incredibly ethnically diverse kids. So there's four of them. There's a white dude with glasses. There's a black dude. There's a Mexican dude. There's an Indian dude. And these are this group of friends that all hang out, and they go into this like where the battle in Age of Extinction took place, and they meet, as you said,
Is it though?
Isabella.
Is that because wouldn't that be in?
No, it's just
Hong
a
Kong?
random part of Chicago.
But it can't be Chicago, right? Because Chicago's
'cause it would be Hong
back
Kong,
to
yeah.
normal now. It's just, isn't it just this is
Why
the
would it be Hong
landscape
Kong?
of the world now that
They're a bunch of Chicago accented kids.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
would they be in Hong Kong?
Yeah.
Well, no, because Hong Kong's where Age of Extinction took place. I mean,
at the end anyway.
Oh, right. No, yeah, okay.
So it's not
I think it's just the world now that Transformers are.
It's
a
an
big part of.
unfixed part of Chicago that we should have
Yeah.
seen in Age of Extinction.
Yeah.
So that blew hard, and then all of a sudden, Cade Yeager got his epic entrance into the film.
Yep.
And he
Mark
and he
Wahlberg's
has
character.
he has a pistol, and he's shooting. He's the Transformer.
We need to
killer
get
now.
through this faster, guys.
Yeah.
This can't be how
I'm just
slow we
trying to
recap
recap.
the
Okay,
movie.
basically, and then
And she joins the family.
she joins the family,
Who
and
does?
then Isabella, the
With
14-year-old girl who's overly sexualized for being 14.
Yeah.
She's Isabel with a Z as well.
Yeah, that's
And
really important. That's
highlight
important to her
the
character.
baby robot, the baby dinosaur Transformers. Highlight, yeah, no. Highlight, yeah.
Basically, the whole plot of the film is that Optimus Prime gets to Cybertron, gets back to his home planet, and then it's revealed that the god that creates life. The third or fourth time we're shown how life is created.
So she's the god. She's the maker of the Transformers.
I guess, and then
Who
she's
made
like,
her?
oh, dude. Basically, it's revealed that Earth is actually Unicron, who's like a villain.
Wait, is Unicron a character?
Unicron's a character in the Transformers canon who is like a devourer of worlds. And in Dark of the Moon, everyone was pissed off that Unicron wasn't the villain. But Unicron's actually Earth. So that was kind of a cool twist. And then basically she wants to collide Earth, Unicron and Cybertron and destroy Earth, and that's the general plot.
Which more or less has been the plot of the last 3 films.
Yeah,
right?
so
And
she
just to bring-
turns Optimus evil
bring Cybertron
and
here
then and also makes him disappear for an hour.
And to tie it back to Merlin, there's a staff of whatever the fuck that can do whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
There's a staff. It's Merlin's staff.
We had an
Which came from a
extended
Transformer.
sequence with Mark Wahlberg and the little girl and the family of Transformers fighting. That's where I went out and came back.
Rowan went to the
What?
toilet for
The
probably about 5 minutes and missed
whole
about
film
6
changed.
scenes.
Really? Seriously?
Yeah, you missed a setup where they try to change Bumblebee's voice box.
Oh, right, yeah.
And
but that didn't take?
It turns into the female version of Microsoft Sam, and he's all like, he's all like,
This sucks ass.
well, no,
Seriously?
it's more robotic than that. It's like,
He's trying to be robotic.
But like a camp thing or what?
It was the female voice.
yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And Isabella with a Z also confronts Cade about his daughter, young Tessa, who did not appear in this film.
Who confronts who, sorry?
Isabella with a Z.
Yeah.
Confronts Cade.
Confronts Caden,
right, yeah.
and
How did you miss that bit?
he just says that he can't talk around I don't know why, because I was thinking, oh cool, so she's going to call her up for him. She's going to be on the phone to him, to her.
been cool.
Like Isabella's going to have a phone call with Caden's daughter, and that's why Cade's daughter, and that'll solve the problem that he can't talk to her because the government will track him. But instead, later on in the film, they just show Cade text some emojis to her.
Oh my god.
Look up in the sky. I'm here for you.
Okay,
Yeah.
oh,
Smiley.
Also Anthony Hopkins is in this film.
Yes.
Gloriously.
And
is
so
in this
is
film.
a 4 foot tall
C-3PO ripoff.
C-3PO admitted C-3PO ripoff, who's like Anthony Hopkins'
Cogsman.
butler, and his name's Cogsman. And here's my problem with him: you can't be like, "Hey, get it? We're going to have a posh young, Transformer butler. That's new," and then have him break into like, "I'll whip your ass." So you can't subvert and then subvert it back to what it originally was. That's so pointless.
Yeah. Oh god, where do we start? Okay, I want to throw this out there. Isabella with a Z is the worst character. Now, I don't mean in this film. I don't mean in the Transformers franchise. I mean she's the worst character.
She's the opposite of Charlie Swan from Twilight.
She is. She's the antithesis.
No, look, no. I didn't mind her. I thought it was weird that she's in it for like such a significant part, and then they trade her out for a age-appropriate love interest who plays the same role as Isabella with a Z.
Do you reckon that it was like they had this 14-year-old love interest throughout the whole film? They were like, "Fuck, we need to."
They're like, Michael, we don't care what Texas law you put in the film to justify this. It's wrong.
Yeah, and then they're like, "Fuck, yeah." Oh, what if she's British?
Yeah.
And older? But
Look,
oh my god, so she's introduced and then she's like the badass, cool, sexy 14-year-old is how she's shown. Not that I think she's
Taking
sexy.
away the sexy part, I quite liked that character. I was into having that character be in the film. She totally does in plot-wise, she doesn't add anything to the narrative. Like, everything she's in could be exercised from the film, and you'd have a much more streamlined
Listen,
better film.
Exactly. And then
The problem is we didn't get enough Isabella with a Z.
Well, if she'd just been in the entire film, it might have worked.
No, yeah, kind of.
why
Okay,
introduce her and
this
throw
is
her away?
kind of edging into my continue the franchise, but I've kind of changed what I want to do for that. And I did mention in part 1 of this podcast that I was like, oh, this kind of relates to my continue the franchise. I want a family Transformers movie, like a family-friendly Transformers movie. I want kids to be the main character. I want Steven Spielberg to direct it, but not Steven Spielberg now.
Anyway,
Steven
you're
Spielberg
jumping ahead.
from the 80s. No, this isn't my continue the
Oh,
franchise. This is what I'm saying should have been. And when I saw the trailer for Transformers 5 where it's all kids, I was like, oh, cool, of course.
Yeah, right.
Kids should be the main character in a Transformers movie. Guess what? 4 of them disappear after the scene in the trailer.
and one of them's supposed to be fucking hot.
And
Maybe Michael Bay just does not know how to shoot women in any other way.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, it doesn't matter how old they are. You're going to get right down low, and you're going to put the sun behind
That's-
them.
And they're
No,
going,
And you're going to see skin really
you
close.
you
and
you
sweat.
maybe joke, but I kind of think that's exactly
No, I think that is it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he doesn't know how to. But if you maybe give him the benefit of the doubt, and that's just how he shoots women to make them look, like attractive, not sexy, but just to make them look their
Photogenic.
best. Yeah. Well, he's used to making adverts, right?
Yeah.
If that's just his go-to style, he's not sexualizing them. He's just making them. Everyone.
Well,
look
he
the
is. He
best.
just doesn't know. He
Yeah,
is.
yeah. Right.
maybe that 14-year-old actress just exudes sexuality, and Michael Bay was like having to actually tone her back. Like he was like, oh, maybe you're like.
I liked her sort
barely
of feisty
covering your
attitude,
ass.
though. Like,
It's like a terrible attempt at a feisty attitude.
Yeah, because then like her next scene, it's like, why the fuck are you still here? And she's like, I got no place to go, bro.
that scene where they both traded bros in the
Like,
God, that
like
was
you
funny.
think I'm exaggerating what I just said? No, they call each other bro.
So-
and she cries, and we're supposed to care, and I'm like, no, I don't.
She is replaced with, and I say replaced in my definition of it, with a British woman. What's her name?
Just count Emily Blunt.
Yeah, well, I for the whole movie, I thought that's who was playing it.
What was her name? Do we remember her name?
Probably
Vivian. It's totally Vivian. Rowan was giggling at how sexualized she was in the most casual scenes. She was.
I think it was like, so we're watching IMAX 3D, and her bust line is just eye level with us. The entire
Yeah.
the frame is of her chest to head.
Yeah.
But her bust is just hitting us in the face.
Her boobs were bigger than
And
our
we could-
house.
So
yeah.
part of the issue with it is that her storyline is she is, and we'll get into this. Don't worry if you're
There was
confused.
no reason given for why she was in that dress.
No, that's what I'm going to get to. She is the granddaughter of Merlin, essentially, and so she has
well, like great.
Merlinian powers.
And that's what she does in the movie.
Yeah, and she is basically kidnapped Anthony Hopkins' mansion where he tells them, "Oh, you've got to get the stuff." Inexplicably, she comes out in a dress after they all get settled, and this beautiful dress that looks like she's about to go on an espionage mission or something. You're like, oh, I wonder why she put on the dress.
Yeah.
No, but the dress. There's a scene where it's a totally innocuous scene, but her bra is above the hemline of the. I'm not saying this because I noticed it. I'm saying
I noticed it. You could not notice it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was
the point of the shot.
It was so pointless because yes, I guess she's the love interest, but why would she? It's basically Michael
She's the
Bay
eye
saying
candy.
she has to wear a dress because I want. Her
She
to
looked
be
good in
more,
the
more
dress.
sexy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know, but
she
come
was a
on.
very attractive actress.
And Mark Wahlberg looked real good when he had his shirt off, so,
Yeah.
it'll work.
So there's something for everyone. And speaking of Mark Wahlberg, I don't know if this pissed you guys off as much as it did me, but how stupid is it that Cade is the last night?
I was gonna say that. I am so pissed off that the last night refers to Cade Yeager, the most boring
and
character.
his chest lifestyle.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my
it's
God.
so annoying.
What if-
That's right, everybody? It's not Optimus Prime. I would have loved. Sam Witwicky would have been a great last night. What's his name? John Turturro, who's in this movie, would have. I would have taken Josh Duhamel as the last night, as sort of the Aragorn Return of the King of the franchise.
Imagine
that he
if,
is.
It's not that he was randomly selected to be the last night. It was no, your whole lifestyle has led you to this moment.
my God.
What?
So
It's like-
yeah, they mention he's chaste, as in chaste, as in abstinent, and he's not actually in a real world standard, but apparently a knight has to be chaste, right? And they set it up in the fourth film that he hasn't had a girlfriend for a long time. And
It's been a while.
They continue it into this one.
Why?
And yeah, that's it. That's Mark Wahlberg is chaste.
I thought Mark Wahlberg, between the character and the acting and just like his role in the film, so much better than the previous film. So much more interesting. So like he was an action hero in this film. He was. You guys are just
Look, Rowan, I'm sorry, man. Here's something about me, dude. I hate conflict. I love agreeing with people. I love like smiling at my smiling friend, and we laugh and talk about how cool the movie was together. But none of this was redeemable, man.
That's fair. That's totally fine. But I will argue black and blue that there's no way this is the worst of the 5 films.
I don't know. Okay, I don't know why you would argue black and blue then, because it's like a 1% difference no matter your opinion.
I don't know, man. I would say this one is like just squarely in the middle. It's
Okay.
not like, you know.
I'm not going to argue black and blue because I'll just be like, oh yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah,
That's how little I care about my stance on this film.
Yeah, it's not worse than Age of Extinction.
Yeah.
But it's I wouldn't say saying it's better implies quality.
I think
and I can't do that.
there were set pieces in the film and there were elements to the story that made it interesting and enjoyable for me to watch, whereas none of that was present in Age of Extinction.
Yeah, like all the Transformers films, you could easily cut 45 minutes out of it. And not in the sense that like it just needed to be shorter. You could go through and actually pick out scenes that don't need to be there because they don't add anything.
So let's talk about something this movie changes in the legacy of Transformers.
Okay.
So
Where do we start?
I've got the first one. Smash cut to the title. None of this Transformers. It was just boom. Transformers last night. They mixed it up.
They mixed it up. Yeah. What I wanted to talk about.
I was like, oh, bold start. Okay, give it to me, baby.
They bold start. This brave filmmaking right here. So basically they establish, and I'm a little foggy on the details, I'll be honest with you, that starting from the Arthurian times, there's been a league called the Witwickens that are the people who have dealt with Transformers their whole life, I guess. And guess who's one of them?
They're the ones that are the like guardians of the Transformers.
Yeah.
They're keeping them secret.
They go through who all the Witwickens have been throughout time, and you got your Beethovens. Maybe the Saint Bernard. They don't specify.
He was a movie star. We don't know.
Yeah, maybe this is set in the Beethoven's Big Break universe.
Yeah.
So yeah, that who else is Da Vinci?
Einstein.
Yeah.
Like basically anyone.
A who's who of influential characters.
And then in the best part of the movie, the best second of the movie, there's Sam Witwicky's eBay profile picture as another Witwicken.
Yeah, and we also see Archibald Witwicky as well.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And the whole time they're saying no surrender, no victory. Or no sacrifice, no victory. The old Witwicky family model.
Oh, true, yep.
Oh, yeah,
so you see a photo of Shia LaBeouf's Sam Witwicky, and I was like, that's nice. That makes me feel like I've come home to this franchise I don't like in the first place.
So wait. That random connection is a redeeming feature for you.
Yeah, dude. Holy shit.
Yeah,
but
it's weird in Age of
why you like
Extinction
the
that
Marvel
they don't
movies.
mention it.
so
do you?
Yes and no. I dislike all of the connected shit.
Then they explain that the reason Vivian is important is because she's the last living Witwicken.
Yeah.
Sam's dead? Sam died?
Sam's not in this movie.
Because he died?
He died? Like, because it's all vague, because you're not... Being a Witwicken isn't... You don't have to be a Witwicky, but Sam is a Witwicky.
For some reason. So is he like from the most important lineage?
Or was it just like...
He might not be a blood relative, but he might still have the name. For what?
Look, I'm thinking Sam's dead, and I think that's a shitty way to tell us if he is.
Well, he's not. Yeah, he's no longer a character in the franchise, so he might be dead. It doesn't really matter, I guess.
I think it matters to me.
Yeah, I think... But John Turturro gets made a Witwicken.
Yep. John, let's talk about John Turturro.
In the movie for all of 10 minutes? If that.
Yeah. Most exciting
And what did
thing
he
about
contribute to the film?
And they actually filmed in Cuba. It's the second American film to ever shoot in Cuba. And they...
For any particular reason? I love the reference to the fact that the Transformers in Cuba get to go free. Everyone's chill and awesome. Like...
That's so weird. Like, it's just like... And John Turturro could have been anywhere.
Yeah.
but he's in Cuba, where the Transformers run free, and all this adds to the plot is that one of them asks him to come play like football on the beach, and he's like, I can't, I'm on the phone.
I'm working.
Oh, there are 3 MacGuffins in this movie. I don't know if you guys
Count them for me.
So there's the book that John Turturro locates.
Right.
There's
That he helps. Him find in the library.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he uses the word scrotum twice to describe it, bringing his scrotum count to 3 in this franchise.
He says scrotum more times in this franchise than there are testicles within a scrotum. There is the second MacGuffin is of course the staff of Merlin, which is the main one, and then there's also the talisman.
Yeah.
What does it do? Someone tell me what the talisman.
Okay, so it attaches. So there's this talisman, and Cade gets given it by one of the Transformers in this like the graveyard that we talked about, and then it attaches onto his arm,
Which
and
is
then
random, right? Like,
yeah, it's like you were chosen.
talisman
No,
didn't
you just
choose
happened to be there. And then
he's chased, guys.
It latches onto his arm and then disappears every couple of shots. And then near the end of the film, it turns into a sword. And it's fucking hilarious.
It was an epic moment.
His face, like it cuts to his face like 9 times in a row in slow motion, and he's just like, what? And then so he hits the sword. He's hits the bad guys with it, and then it cuts back to him. He's just not holding the sword, and we never see it again.
Didn't even notice that. You're absolutely right.
Like he's holding it in one shot, and then it cuts, and he's not holding it, and then it's just never.
But you know what the most egregious like betrayal of film logic in this film is?
What?
Optimus Prime chopping all the heads off the robots at once, just nullifying any threat.
Do you know what? I have no recollection of that happening. No, although when I walked out of the theatre, I heard some guys talking about it.
He was great.
Tony Hale was in this movie.
That wasn't Tony Hale.
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
he's in the credits.
100% was.
He looks so different.
He looks so much younger. He looks about 10 years
That's so
younger.
because I saw it and I was like, fuck, that looks like Tony Hale. But then as the movie went on, I was like, no.
He was in the credits and his character didn't even have a name.
Funny.
Anyway,
Or a point.
The most egregious moment in this film was that they make such a point out of the fact that Bumblebee doesn't have a voice box, and then the way he converts Nemesis Prime back to being good again is suddenly he talks and he goes, I am Optimus Prime, I am Bumblebee, and I would lay down my life for you. And that's what makes Optimus Prime go, oh shit, what am I doing? I'm about to kill Bumblebee. And the famous fight scene from the poster of this movie between Bumblebee and Optimus Prime, the way that Optimus gets back to normal is Bumblebee speaks, and you hear his voice.
That's the moment for me, Rowan. It's not a good film anymore. Like, I was with the film up until that moment.
Because I wouldn't care if they didn't make a point out of the fact that he doesn't have his voice box anymore.
Yeah, so it's like...
He can't just sometimes talk.
Point of order, he talks at the end of the first Transformers movie.
Yeah, and then they're just
He
like...
speaks to Optimus Prime.
In the second one, they're like, oh, fuck, I guess we kind of...
It's a cooler gimmick to have him talk through the radio.
Yeah, and then so not only... like, so it's like, oh... the power of friendship has healed our friend Bumblebee, and then he goes back to talking with the radio, and then goes back to talking with his normal voice.
Like nothing in this movie matters.
Well, it doesn't, does it?
It doesn't. You're right. You're dead
If
right.
they're not taking it seriously, why should we?
Frankly, Michael.
But that is the logic of the series. Like, they're just going to do what they want. They're just going to make it all happen, and we're going to watch it, and people with any kind of brow that is high will not enjoy it, and everyone else will love it.
Like me.
So I've got a question for our listeners at home. Did you know that Hitler was killed by a Transformer?
Are you asking me?
No, I said
I know. So, what do you want me to do? You want me to answer it?
He was.
Oh, yeah, I knew that.
I thought it was a fun little gag.
It was weird. So there's Nazis in this film.
Yeah.
For one
And
scene.
Bumblebee fought them
Yeah.
in the 1940s, and
Richard suddenly realizes he doesn't know the exact date of World War II.
well,
I don't think the film knew it either.
It's not established if it's at the end of the 30s or in the early 40s. So that's why
Good
I said
save.
that. Because I was going to say 1944, but it's not implied that that's actually.
I rescind my burn.
Thank you.
This movie put me in a bad mood. I'm sorry.
So, Bumblebee fought the Nazis and then somehow turned into a shitty old Camaro and just waited in Bernie Mac's.
And the first film gives the distinct impression that Bumblebee has arrived a week before the film opens, right?
Yeah, he's a No, they already established why Sam's was important in the first film.
Yeah, he's the descendant of Archibald Witwicky.
So he doesn't need to be a
There's a
Witwicky.
map to the location of the
Didn't
cubes on his
Archibald
glasses.
Witwicky find Megatron by accident?
Yeah.
So he wasn't. It's not like he was looking for the Transformers when he found them.
No.
Well, now he was, according to what this movie.
No, it's not that he was looking for them, it's that he was a protector of them.
So a protector.
So he had this destiny that just perfectly lined up with the fluke that he found.
Yeah, do you know what? It's not good. I'm not defending it. I'm just stating the film's logic.
I really think that everything that came before this film, other than maybe parts of Age of Extinction, were essentially thrown away.
Yeah,
The voice cast remains, and that's about it.
Yeah, Josh Duhamel coming back was cool.
Hey, you know who else was in this movie?
He didn't really do anything though.
Yeah.
Steve Buscemi's in this movie.
That was a nice little treat.
Yeah,
That's Steve Buscemi,
Steve
right?
He was the
Buscemi.
day trader.
And he has 8 lines, probably.
But
I was like, hey, cool, it's a Michael Bay reunion. Get them all in. Because this film, for a hot minute, was becoming Armageddon, where it's like, we have 3 days. A big thing is coming towards the Earth.
Yeah.
And I was like, get Bruce Willis and the drillers. Let's do it.
I hated
they-
this, man.
But they did.
I loved it. Well, no. I did not love it.
Oh, man, it's so loud.
I enjoyed it.
What else can we talk about?
I will quickly recap the bits I enjoyed.
Okay.
The first sequence that I really properly was like, this is worth, the whole trip was worth it for this sort of stuff, was the car chase through London. I thought that was a pretty well put together car chase, and it was on the big screen in the 3D. It was really thrilling. The cameras low to the ground, and it's just like,
We saw a half transformation as well. So Bumblebee's driving along, and he transforms
and he's
one
sitting
arm
on the
and a
car.
head.
Yeah.
And they're still they're flying out of the car, but Bumblebee's able to shoot
And I
them.
actually thought Bumblebee's first kind of cool moment in the film was actually kind of cool, like where he drove in, transformed, exploded, and then came together and
because
kicked
he
them
has
all
that
to
power
bits.
now.
Well, that was like a new version of transforming, which, given how I mentioned earlier in the podcast, these films aren't about how they're hidden
They're
robots,
in
and they don't have the transforming has nothing to do with it. It was cool to see a little bit of that right at the start of the film. It was, transforming actually has something to do with it.
Yeah, you see them run a lot in this film. I'm like, you're also a car, you know.
I like that.
There were not a lot of moments of them being vehicles.
Yeah, that's true. I liked that that Transformers aren't welcome on Earth. Like, I dig that.
But it's the one place that they let him.
That highlight of the movie, not the
Oh, yeah.
movie. When Mike just saying to AJ, "No, they haven't." To
Optimus
recap for the listeners,
Prime.
there's a line where Optimus Prime goes. He sort of explains why he's fighting for the humans, and he goes, "This because you humans allow me to call this planet home." And I just went to AJ, like, "No, they don't."
Which
and
is,
the plot of at least 2 of these movies have been about how every Transformer is not welcome on Earth.
I like that. I like that there's a realistic kind of aftermath of everything that happens in these movies. But at the same time, if there are 14 sequels to go in this franchise, yeah, Optimus, you kind of fucked up planet Earth. Like, leave, dude.
Yeah.
This is the 5th time this has happened.
How are they going to up the stakes?
Yeah, the Earth is crumbling by the movie.
So that is one of the things I think this film did that I haven't seen done as well or as big and as loud in any other blockbuster. The stakes, like, at the end of the film, I don't just mean, okay, the stakes were the end of the world, right?
Yeah.
But, like, the depiction of that in those final 30 minutes were visually stunning. All of the bits of planet and all of that sort of just scale with the flying through it and around it. Well, I thought all of that stuff was incredibly well realized.
It shocked me.
That's the biggest end of the world superhero blockbuster style ending we've ever seen, and I actually thought it earned some points with me just for how spectacular that scale. That was truly up to 11. I don't think you could make a bigger, more crazy spectacle film ending.
It ended the world like a little bit. Like the world legitimately ended a little bit.
There was some
But do you know what?
hauntingly cool shots where you've got like you're in space and you're just seeing the thing just like
drag.
trawling and wrecking Earth.
Yeah,
The
but it's
pyramids,
gonna. But we
Hong
know
Kong.
it's gonna be fine in a couple of years.
Yeah, that's
the pyramids will be back up.
Well, no, I think the only way you can raise the stakes is the.
Actually
I guess
destroy the Earth.
no, I'll do that in my continue the franchise.
Sure.
Okay, so the other things I really liked. Every single scene with Anthony Hopkins because
He was
in my view,
incredible.
if he wants to be in this, I've got a screenshot of a quote on an article where he says Michael Bay is a genius.
Yeah,
that's
I
the
saw
reason
that.
he wanted to do it. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm on. If he wants to be in these films and he wants to have fun, and he clearly was having fun,
Yeah.
I'm totally on board with that. He's a cool
Yeah.
dude. He's a cool.
I liked
he had
Anthony
yeah.
Hopkins.
He had
Everyone-
all of the best moments in the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone talks about like how the hell like my Anthony Hopkins wouldn't do this
Yeah.
kind of movie. If I was like, you know, Sir Anthony Hopkins Academy Award winner and I read this script, I'd be like, fuck yeah, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
He gets to call people like an old bitch and he gets to scream at old people.
You know, blink and you'll miss it. He's flipping off the guys in the car chase next to him.
Oh my god,
cheeky
he's
little
like
bugger.
chewing the scenery and just having so much fun.
He is having fun, and that's why I think he kind of saved this movie.
Yeah.
Because it's a almost meta experience of watching an actor who's clearly too good for this movie, like embrace it fully.
Yeah.
And if this was the same quality as the first Transformers, I think that'd be really cool. But it's nestled in what was legitimately an unenjoyable experience for me. You know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah.
This isn't a movie you can turn your brain off to and enjoy. If I turned my brain off in this movie, I would have died.
You just would have gone
Like
to sleep.
I would have gone. No, I would have died. I would have gone like brain dead because it's so offensive and affronting.
Yeah, people like reviews for this film, positive reviews for this film are going to say it's not going to be Oscar caliber. It's a Transformers movie. What do you expect? That's such a lazy excuse. It still needs to be good.
Yeah, this does. I cannot fathom how this can appeal to the general populace. Granted, I'm a film snob. Maybe that's just it. But like, I feel like I can understand when like a big dumb action movie is awesome just because it is.
Yeah, like
you know?
something dumb like Pacific Rim.
Yeah, this was. Is there a beef here? You guys just looked at each other. I feel like I'm missing something.
I just know it's one of Ron's favorite films.
Okay, This was a legitimately. I can't imagine anyone enjoying this movie.
I can't really kind of fault you on a lot of levels there because I mean like it's not a turn off your brain and enjoy it kind of movie because it's so confused. There's so much crap going on.
It's
I
complicated.
mean
It's too complicated.
That is
to turn
Michael
your brain
Bay's
off.
style. Yeah, the average person is going to watch this and not have half a clue what's going on, and the action is so fast paced and so relentlessly huge that you can't kind of just enjoy it.
Yeah,
It's an assault on the senses.
Yeah. It's definitely a spectacle.
Yeah, the spectacle for that final the two planets colliding, I thought was like surely we're going to see something to that level of spectacle in the Infinity War films. Like that's the level you have to take it to, right?
in the Infinity War, how that goes, because that is Marvel's really kind of started to nerf their characters and the villains.
Like there was no beam of light shooting into the sky that they had to turn off. There was
That's true.
two planets like collide. Like
yeah, but that's already happened. So
That was in the third one.
yeah, part of the plot, the climax of The Last Night, if you haven't
yeah,
seen
but it was
it,
only ever in the sky.
is that Cybertron is crashing into Earth, which is what happened in Dark of the Moon.
Yeah. But that never, they never had to go there, or that.
No,
was
but
that was just a visual backdrop.
It's so similar. It's as bad as.
No, don't worry. I completely agree.
Yeah.
The finale of every film has been the same since the start.
This was as bad as like Starkiller Base compared to Death Star.
Let's not go there. The broad plot of every film is exactly the same. No.
Yeah, but not in the specific like things they use. Yes, there's something that's going to destroy the world, but twice it's been Cybertron, which is just silly. You don't need to make it that. You can make it the big villain, the creators just tendrils. Like it doesn't have to be.
Did Megatron really do anything in this film?
No, oh my gosh!
And what about the Suicide
Let's
Squad
talk about that.
sequence?
So basically, the government thinks who doesn't. They're not on Cade or the Autobots' side. They decide that the best course of action is to employ the Decepticons
Empower them
to
and-
find Cade.
What?
But they drew the line at the really bad Transformer.
Yeah,
That
so-
then never returned
Yeah,
to
so
the film.
so they have a meeting with Megatron, who's just hanging out in the desert.
The lawyers just sit down at their desks. They drive
because
out
they
to the
need
desert.
lawyers for some reason, and they're like, okay, we want you to find Cade. You can have some Decepticons. Which why he can probably do it himself. And he goes, okay, I want Mohawk, and it shows this kind of vaguely racist another racist Transformer get pulled out of like this holding cell, and he's got a Mohawk. He's like, yo, what up? Yeah, I'm gonna kill you. And they're like, okay, you can have Mohawk, and then like the words Mohawk
they
come
use
up on the
those
screen.
freeze frame smash
Yeah,
titles.
They go through 5 or 6
Do
Transformers.
they have a soundtrack playing at the same time?
Probably.
Like music?
They go through 5
It
or
wasn't
6.
like pop music, but it was
Right,
like
okay.
Yeah.
Close enough, right?
They go through 5 or 6 Decepticons. Mohawk's legitimately the only one I can remember because he was the only one who had any kind of personality.
yeah. Oh, there was like someone Zeus.
Yeah.
Who was voiced by John DiMaggio.
Yeah.
There was a Berserker or something
Yeah.
like that. There was that's it.
Yeah.
We got a
there's-
helicopter above us. by
Here's
way,
the weird
if you're
thing,
hearing
right?
it.
Like, a lot of the time you go, yeah, it could have been an alright film if you shave 30 minutes off the end. This is a film where if you shave 30 minutes off the front, it becomes a dramatically better film.
Totally.
Everything
because
sucks and is forgettable and stupid. about this film,
those
all in the
Decepticons,
front half.
yeah, those Decepticons that they include aren't in it. They give them title cards and they're not in the film.
Megatron's barely in the film.
I know, and this is a fundamental problem with Transformers is Megatron doesn't actually have to be in every film.
yeah.
I feel like
neither does Optimus Prime, and part of the way that this movie worked for me is for a huge chunk of the middle of the film, Optimus Prime just wasn't even in it, and
then-
actually was Mark Wahlberg's adventure in
Yeah.
this franchise.
But then don't worry, Optimus Prime comes back, and if you forgot who he is,
he says his name.
he says his name like 20 times. Like he gets something. Don't you know who I am?
Yeah.
I am Optimus Prime.
and right when they attack the big bad guy, he says, what does he say to her? He says,
Have you forgot? You hadn't forgotten my name, was I?
no, he says, let me introduce you to my friend, Bumblebee. And then Bumblebee shoots her, and then he goes, sting like a bee. They're speaking different languages. Like, obviously, Optimus Prime needed to be like float like a butterfly. Like, you know,
Oh my
that's,
God.
it's
there
like
was a scene after that where he's like, Optimus, he was supposed to.
yeah. It's like Bumblebee thought he said float like a butterfly, but he didn't. He said, "Let me introduce you to my friend Bumblebee," which is a dumb line anyway.
Did you guys enjoy the Back to the Future sound clip sample?
No.
From Bumblebee.
Didn't enjoy it.
I liked it.
Yeah, because he says, dark, command, dark.
Yeah.
But it didn't actually sound like it was the actual thing, it was just a reference to it. I liked,
yeah.
at the start, it just kind of made me giggle internally. So it starts with the...
Giggle internally, so that's like no visible change.
Yeah,
I
no,
like to imagine Rich is usually screaming internally. This is a brief relief.
There's like, so it starts with the Paramount logo, and then it goes over, and then these two like flaming projectiles come over the mountain,
Yeah,
and then
that's
the
cool.
camera pans around and we're in the battle, and I just like kept on hoping that we'd like see a reverse shot and just the Paramount logo in the background.
But you know what's weird about that is that, and I don't know if I've ever seen this in a film before, because they did the black with the the various production companies before the Paramount logo, so they could do that thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, the like
weird.
Hasbro Paramount
they did
Pictures
that,
presents a
and
Michael
then
Bay
they
film.
went to the
Yeah.
the studio's card, which is just I don't
Not
know.
worth it.
No, well, it probably wasn't.
Unless you could see like in the background of a shot,
Yeah,
just
then
like
it-
this
then it would
mountain
be
with
worth it.
Paramount and the
God, that
stars
was
around
really
it.
funny.
That was so fucking funny. What else is there to say about this film?
We've got a segment we.
I'd love to hear you
haven't
guys put this film in your rankings.
done. It's my least favorite.
It's the middle one for me.
For you to say it's your least favourite tells me that you have not given
You
your
haven't lived.
undivided attention to the other films. Like,
That's probably
if you
true.
had to sit there and watch Age of Extinction with no phones or distractions, I can't believe that you wouldn't want to make that the worst.
Yeah,
film.
man, probably. Honestly, I don't care enough. Like, maybe it is better than Age of Extinction.
Yeah, for me, I'd probably go 1, 3, 5, 4, 2.
Yeah.
But then,
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I'd put 4 the worst, easy.
Yeah.
2 is just kind
Do
of
we want
trashy.
to start continuing the franchise? So we talked about what possible futures there is for this franchise. As you said, there's 14 films. There's a
Is
like
that a number that's come from outside of the room? Like, have the studio said 14 films?
Yeah.
yeah. So we talked about the first half of the podcast.
Oh, that's right. There was
There's 14 scripts ready to go, and then there's a couple that have.
and
been
they've
made.
kind of retconned and set that up with this film, having Bumblebee already be on Earth for a while.
Yeah. So
Groundwork was laid.
Sure. They have. This has like it's not really a post. It's not even a mid-credit scene. It flashes to direct by Michael Bay, and then like the next shot is like it goes over some hillscapes, and then we've got and then this Asian woman comes up and talks to this guy and is like, "You should stop doing that. He's not going to like it." And the guy's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And then she's like, "Unicron."
He's like, what the hell are you talking about? And the audience are like, what the hell are you talking about?
And then she removes her hood, reveals she's just some random Asian woman, and says Unicron, and then her face goes like robot-y for a second to like I guess reveal that she's the god that we talked about from Cybertron.
Because the horns were never really part of the climax of the film,
Yeah.
were they? So they've set up a bunch of
there's
sequel
giant
stuff.
horns as well in this film.
Yeah. Okay. Might continue the franchise,
you go first.
if I may go first.
Yeah.
So, however many years later, the Transformers hear wind of something buried deep below the Earth, as Optimus refers to at the end of this film. And it's the bloody planets are aligned. Boy, howdy, you know it. And that means whatever's buried beneath the Earth is coming up, and they think it's going to be robots. They think it's going to be something really like dumb and big and explodey, but it's not. It's Play-Doh, and this opens up the Hasbro Cinematic Universe, Transformers vs. Play-Doh. And the Play-Doh is just like Transformers because it can mold into anything. Like, you know, it can transform, but it can do into anything, and it gets in the cracks of the Transformers metal parts and makes them not work anymore. Yep.
But specifically like preschool type equivalent stuff.
It's in one of those big, you know, those yellow containers that Play-Doh comes in. Yeah. Those pods
but they
beneath there.
Surely the Play-Doh can only transform into
amorphous blobs.
Stuff that toddlers would play with. You know, they can't go to complex machines.
Oh no, it could turn into a dick.
would have to, right?
And it does. And that's my continue the franchise.
What's it called?
Transformers vs. Play-Doh. It's breaking all title conventions. Transformers Universe. Rise of the Play-Doh.
Right.
No, it's not even a Transformers Universe. It's just Transformers 6.
Okay, so do you want to go next, Rowan?
No, you go next. No, I'll go because you've actually got something planned.
Oh yeah, I've just got
Some bullshit. All right.
Spitball a couple of things. I think the next film, the world better be this post-apocalyptic hellscape at this point, because we just saw half the planet get absolutely wrecked. So I feel like that's what will actually be the continuation of the franchise, at which point the fact that they can transform into cars is well and truly like beside the point, because that's kind of my main beef with where the franchise has gone after the first one. Is they just walk around, they're just aliens. The fact that they're machines and the fact that they transform into cars, which is the coolest part of the Transformers franchise.
Yeah, it's literally
just
the title.
Completely gone.
Yeah.
The other thing I can imagine happening, the only way to up the stakes, is Cybertron transforms into a giant robot and Earth transforms into a giant robot, and we have two planet-sized giant robots fighting each other, or the sun is a giant robot, and crazy shit that. But honestly, I would rather see the whole franchise just get rebooted and started again.
Yeah.
And with an eye to keep this stuff smaller scale and make it actually about robots in disguise.
Yeah, it would be cool. Like you just sort of gave me an idea that imagine like a Mad Max Fury, or even just like Mad Max style cars that are also Transformers.
Yeah.
So it's like this post-apocalyptic Transformers, and so it starts off with imagine if just halfway through Mad Max Fury Road, they're like
the war rig transformed.
The war rig is just Optimus Prime. That'd be the greatest twist of all time.
I'll give, if the next film in the first trailer is clearly this is like full blown post-apocalyptic, I'll give that film a shot.
Yeah, that's right. It would already be the best one. But so I wonder who's going to direct it.
I think Michael Bay will direct it.
Yeah, same. Mark Wahlberg said he's not going to come back if Michael Bay doesn't come back.
All right. Yeah.
Just quickly, have you got a bigger plan?
Let's hear the real.
What do you mean?
Like, have you got? Was that your continued franchise?
Oh yeah, no, I've got one.
Can I just quickly? What time period do you think that the sixth one is going to take
And also what country, because they seem to be globetrotting nicely
So
on the last few
the
films.
fourth one was dinosaur times. The fifth one was medieval times and kind of, I guess, Nazi Germany. Which, by the way, I would much rather just watch a medieval Transformers movie.
Or a Nazi Transformers.
Yeah, that's my continued
Okay,
franchise.
okay.
Is just time jump.
Okay.
Time travel?
I'm gonna jump.
They're going to do time travel at some point, right?
And do my continue the franchise.
Yep.
Okay. So we've seen that the Transformers are responsible for the dinosaurs dying out. We've seen that they fought in the world wars. That they are the reason for going to the moon. So my continuation of the franchise puts them at another point in history, and I'd like to go back to the old blank of the blank, or the blank of titling in my film, which is entitled Transformers 11th of September. Because the plane that crashed into the World Trade Center was Megatron. Yeah. Why not?
Why not?
We're gonna get to this
I'll
point.
Google this. Why shouldn't?
Yeah, I mean, fuck, they're responsible for everything else.
Honestly, I almost feel like it's implied. I feel like you could glean from these movies that the Transformers did 9/11.
Yeah.
That mean that the Decepticons flew into the
Decepticons can't melt steel beams.
Osama bin Laden is a Decepticon.
Yeah, probably.
Decepticon age.
He probably worked for them. Megatron and Osama worked together. If they make 14 more Transformers films and one of them doesn't feature a picture of Osama bin Laden shaking Megatron's hand, I will eat a nice steak dinner.
That took a turn. That didn't end. That sentence didn't end where I thought it was going to end.
How about if that happens, you have to then, for the rest of time, tell people that's your favourite film of all time.
Okay, deal.
Okay. So, yeah, and 20 years after
You're
they've
not
all
allowed to
come
qualify
out.
it with any story, you just have to be like, no, favourite film of all time.
Transformers 14 is the best one. And I don't mean the best Transformers movie. I just mean it's the best movie.
If these films keep making money, the formula's not going to change and they're just going to keep making it. Like, I'm legitimately interested to see what happens with Transformers 9. Like,
Yeah.
especially if there's some vague thread of continued continuity.
I'm excited for...
That's why time travel have to come into it so they can do a reboot within continuity.
like X-Men styles.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Transformers Universe Bumblebee because it's set in 1985. Sounds like it'll be a bit different. I'm excited for Transformers 1 because it sounds like it's going to be a bit different. But at the same time, I never want to watch these movies again. And I don't know if I will watch any of the sequels just out of spite.
Yeah. Oh, God. They're not good.
Even if you like the first one, I can see that a lot of people do. This is not a good franchise. It's a good movie.
It is rotten at the core. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like if you saw chocolate pudding and then you started to eat it only to realise it was poo. But you keep eating
It was
anyway.
chocolate pudding at the start, though.
Yeah, it's got a fine layer of chocolate pudding on the outside, and then but you still just keep eating it because you're like, maybe there's chocolate at the centre. But it's not, it's just poo.
It's just more poo. And then a bit of blood. And it's like, wow, I mean, it's not worse.
It's not worse, it's different.
Yeah, look.
It's not chocolate pudding. It was a chocolate pudding, and then it's just been drowned in like just fudge sauce. So all you're doing is just eating fudge sauce. It's like objectively this is tasty, but there's nothing to it.
You heard it here first.
There's no craft.
folks.
It's just
The Transformers franchise is as bad as chocolate pudding with chocolate sauce on it.
no. I mean, like you've got a bucket full of chocolate sauce, and there's a pudding at the bottom, and you just have to eat all the sauce.
It's like chocolate pudding with ketchup. Those things are fine, but not together.
Yeah, look, I think just, even the defense that they're supposed to be mindless movies, it doesn't hold up.
I really don't think they're mindless. Like I think like Doctor Strange is a mindless movie. Like if you turn your brain right on, you're not going to get much out of that film. But if you turn your brain off, you can just sit there and enjoy it. I don't think anyone can sit there and enjoy this film with their brain turned off because you just wouldn't be able to follow any of it. It's moving too quickly. You have to be actively paying attention to try and have any hope of following the plot.
Yeah,
of whatever plot there is.
Yeah, like when they reveal the horns and they cut to like 6 different countries, and because we're in IMAX, you're like looking to the
you're like craning
turning your head,
looking in the lower left of the screen to see what country they're in,
and then it's cut away by the time you look. But I can actually say as well, the worst thing about this film. Sorry, I just leaned away from the light. The worst thing about this film is in the top right-hand corner, there was a black mark on the screen.
Yeah, that's the Auckland
That's why.
IMAX screen.
That's why I
hasn't it?
left the theater to try and be like, "Hey, can you tell your projectionist that the left eye image has a smudge on it?"
I think they know because I went to Wonder Woman in that same theatre and it had it there as well.
It's been there for like the last like weeks.
At least 6 weeks. Well,
Oh,
it was
I'm
6 weeks
gonna,
ago. When did I
I'm
see
gonna
Wonder
keep
Woman?
my cash back. There's no way. Yeah. I was like, what the hell? That was really shitty and
Yeah.
annoying. And like for the first 15 minutes, it was all I could look at.
Yeah. Did you actually...
I
To be
went to the
fair,
toilet,
it was
but
better
I
than
also
the film.
black mark and more substance.
This is the best part of the movie.
yeah.
We gotta wrap up. This is a long episode.
That is. This is really fun. How long have we been talking about
Well, it'll
last
be
night?
well over 2 hours now.
Well, in true Transformers fashion, we could easily cut 45 minutes out.
Yeah. What was harder to get through, this podcast or Transformers? Pick one. So, what are we doing next, franchise?
Do we roll the dice?
Fuck, I forgot
No.
about it.
Oh, what do you do?
I'm sorry, Rowan. I'd love to roll the dice because it's more fun than what we're probably going to actually be doing.
So starting in 2 weeks' time,
Yeah.
we're going to be reviewing every Godzilla film. There's 32. And
We got to watch 15 for the first episode of the series that we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
We're doing a series, unprecedented on Cult Pop, except for the Back to the Future one, but that was about the same franchise.
How many
yeah,
films was it?
and we've talked about this longer than we talked about Back to the Future.
Yeah.
And we split that over 3.
Yeah. Yeah,
could split this over-
those were early days for the podcast. We were still figuring out the format.
Just make it all one episode.
Yeah, I've learned that now.
Yeah.
Not that anyone cares.
No one's going to listen to it either way. We may as well make it 2 hours. Yeah, so
How many films do you have to watch, sorry, for Godzilla?
32.
So that's like several films a day, right?
Well, no, so like, Godzilla is actually divided up into different eras. So we're doing...
all of July is going to be, every week is going to be a different Godzilla episode.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So, starting 2 weeks from the release of this one, we'll be doing the first era of Godzilla films, and then an episode a week,
Yeah. And the first era is 15 films long.
and then the rest are like 6.
Are they long films or are they short films?
I looked it up. The longest one is the '98 Godzilla film, the American one, which is like
2.5 hours.
yeah, about 2.5 hours. It's about 10 minutes longer than the 2014 one, and then the next longest is like 95 minutes.
Some news came out about the upcoming Godzilla sequel, to the sequel to the 2014 movie, and I was reading about and how like Mothra's going to be a king.
Mothra, King Ghidorah.
Yeah, and I was like, who are all these characters? And then I had this sobering moment where I realised by the time this film comes out, I'll know intimately who all these characters are.
Yeah,
Cool, man.
So that's us next week. If you want to
next fortnight.
next fortnight, if you want to join us, please do.
Why don't you just make each episode after every film you watch, just do like a 5-10 minute hot take on each one.
That's just not how we do things here at Pop Pop Show. However, have we wrapped up, Richard? Is this the end of the Transformers episode?
I guess, unless you have any other anything
don't know.
still you want to say.
I'm exhausted. Find us on Cult Pop Show on Facebook and YouTube and SoundCloud and iTunes and Twitter and Gmail and Letterboxd.
And also, I want to just point out that we're trying something new. We've got 3 microphones now. We've usually only had 1. And the first part, you might have seen in the live stream, we were all in 1 row. And now we're like the Knights of the Round
This
Table.
was so way better.
This is way better, yeah. So the 3 of us were all like...
Should we just
round a
right
square
now
table.
really quickly re-record the first part of the episode?
Look, the problem with that was that there was visual accompaniment, so we had to be...
Yeah, but okay. I'm liking this vibe, and I think we'll keep it going for the...
You could do singular
Amazing.
tracks running around behind us. It just goes.
Yeah. Oh, these cables are getting tangled.
I could be on that side and we just put the camera where I am.
No, but the fact that like I can look at both of you.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah, alright, anyway.
Okay, goodbye. That's so past that point in the song. Now it's going like... Alright, goodbye everybody. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.